made what woke me up is like she got done cooking like the pasta bake at like 11.
Hmm.
I woke up and I just passed out again because I was like, all
Yeah.
right, that was the food I had been waiting for all damn day. But you
I
know,
don't blame you. I don't blame you because, Thursday I was pretty much up till like 4 o'clock because, first of all, finished watching the Commanders Eagles game. Unfortunately, we
hmm
lost. But then, right afterwards, I was like, bruh, I don't want to watch any of this post game stuff. I'm like, finally getting a mental break from just inhaling all of this Commanders content. I was like, yeah, let's play some
yeah,
COD. And so, we stayed up till playing COD until like about 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. I had already had drinking so much that night that I barely had any sleep. That yesterday I texted you like at 7 about playing COD.
hmm
After SmackDown went off the air, and this kind of gets into my first Percy. It's not listed on the doc, but after SmackDown went off the air, I was like, do I really want to watch this Tyson Jake Paul fight? I was like, I don't got nothing else to do, so I'll just kind of
yeah,
throw it on while I'll I'm listening to a podcast or something, right? So I put it on Netflix. I got on around like 10:15 onto Netflix.
yeah.
It worked for like 5 minutes, and then the whole joint just started buffering,
Damn,
and like
that's
Netflix was
crazy.
crashing and all that stuff. And like at one point, eventually I got it to go back to like show live again,
hmm
and as soon as again it just started buffering again, and it would just stay at like 25%, maybe itch up to like 50% or whatever it may be. A lot of times it would get stuck at 99%.
Wow, they were
And
playing
so
with you.
it's not even just me. So I didn't even realize it because I was just so tired that like I just ended up passing out on my couch. And then I
Yeah,
woke up at like 2 o'clock in the morning with my Xbox off. So I totally missed all of the fight. And apparently I didn't miss much. I
hmm
didn't miss much. They win 8 rounds, unanimous decision. Tyson looked like he was out of it at the second. It's all what we kind of expected the fight to be. So I'm glad I didn't miss it. But apparently everybody was having issues with Netflix.
yeah.
And I bring that up because, as we know, like Raw, and at least here in the United States, Raw will be on Netflix starting in January. But globally, the entire WWE package, including PLEs, will be on Netflix. And I forgot, but Christmas we have an NFL game that's going to be on Netflix. So my first thoughts, the questions to you, my Percy, is what were your thoughts on anything that you've heard about last night's exhibition? And
Uh,
what are your thoughts on this Netflix just not being able to handle the capacity?
um, from yeah, not surprised. We talked about it earlier in the day, yesterday, about the
Mm-hmm.
fight and how we weren't expecting much anyway. So yeah, it went exactly how we both thought it was going to go. I did see some highlights, or I guess you would call them highlights,
Yeah.
clips from the fight. And Mike Tyson looked like he was 58. And I noticed I looked on X to look for, whatever was trending, thinking about
Mm-hmm.
Percy's and stuff like that. And just he's 58 was trending, like top in sports, Tyson and Paul and stuff. And I was just like, yeah, we didn't expect anything out of that. Come on now. So as far as like Netflix crashing, I also did see, I mean, of course, Jake Paul's going to big himself up, like not just the win, but really just the spectacle that it was. Because
Mm-hmm.
obviously he would be like WWE and round these numbers up. I don't know what the numbers were. He said 120 million worldwide, where like that's why Netflix was crashing and all this type of stuff.
Yeah.
That's like, that sounds like a realistic number worldwide. Like, there'd be Mike Tyson fans like all over the world for sure. I could
It's
believe that.
kids
So
too. You got to think it's like kids as well. Like they don't really understand Mike Tyson.
yeah,
They
yeah.
know Mike Tyson, the old guy, but they don't know the baddest man in the planet.
Even we saw, even for us, our age, we
Yeah,
really wasn't old
we
enough to
barely
really.
missed out on it. Like we
Yeah, we
caught the
saw the
tail.
tail
Like
end.
the thing that we remember most from our age is him biting Holyfield's ear off. But
Holyfield,
we were like
and
7 years old when that happened.
and I remember after he came out of prison, after the Robin Givens like assault and all that stuff, him getting knocked out by, or not knocked out. He might have been
It
knocked out
was
by Lennox
TKO.
Lewis.
Oh, well,
TKO.
yeah. Because
That was like
his last few fights he didn't do well. His last fight
yeah,
was in DC and he lost, I think, by TKO.
yeah. And I remember watching that, and that's like 2000, 2001, something like that. So that's like
Yeah.
the very, very like the end of that. But yeah, when is expected? I mean, like I said, it does sound believable as far as that. I would hope that WWE doesn't have that issue. I don't think. I mean, they do have
It won't. I
worldwide
don't think it will
fans.
be an issue for Raw. I think it will be an issue. At least, again, this is more internet. See, that's the thing. Like, I'd be curious for something like WrestleMania,
Hmm. For
but
sure.
like WrestleMania is going to be on Netflix everywhere but the United States.
Hmm.
So, in theory, you're sansing at least 300 million people,
Yeah.
assuming like there's 300 million people in the United States or whatever it may be. But you're eliminating at least 75 to 100 million people that could be watching it in the United States because we're going to be watching it on Peacock.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like everywhere around the world, like they're going to be watching it on Netflix. So it's not going to have a much of a load, server load on there, but it's going to be something to watch out for, especially on third and on the Christmas game. I think it's going to be interesting as well
Hmm.
for the NFL because I think that's like the Chiefs versus somebody high profile.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
you get that, but with the fight in particular, I mean, I think we kind of talked about this, and I told it to my mom. I was like, this is just wrestling. At the end of the day, this is sports entertainment. Like everything about this match, and anything really Logan Paul or Jake Paul does, is within the guise of wrestling and sports entertainment, where it's okay. Yeah, we're building up the spectacle and the anticipation of it, and yeah, we're boxing to a certain degree. We debated like last night whether it be a full on actual fight or is this like an exhibition? It's like, well, the X factor here is Mike. Mike is crazy because it's like you can have all these agreements in place talking about like, oh, yeah, this is, an exhibition and this, that, third. We're lightly sparring, whatever it may be, at least, within the contract as it stipulates. But
Hmm.
as soon as Mike gets into his element, dude, you don't know what he's going to do. But again,
Yeah.
he's like 58 years old. So as far as like what did they accomplish, what they wanted to do and accomplish, that's making money, getting eyes, and all that stuff, you did it. Even the Netflix
Oh
going
yeah.
down, it's more of just like, look at us.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
For
we're
sure.
so popular that Netflix couldn't handle us. Which I put that more on Netflix because you had how long to think about this fight? You have how long to prepare for all of this stuff? It's
Hmm.
unacceptable for Netflix to not be able to like you charge how much money per subscription
Yeah.
that you can't show a live event? That's wild, but I'm not looking forward to any of the next stuff. Mike said he wants to fight with Logan Paul next. Okay.
The most
Again,
interesting thing, if anything, which I don't take it that seriously, was I did hear Jake Paul. He said he wasn't going to call out anybody specifically, like, uh, like in the division, but or because like he respects all fighters and stuff like that. But he was like, but everybody knows in the weight division, it's like Canelo Alvarez. He was like, not saying that. I don't know if he said he wanted the titles, but he was like, but if he wants a payday, he knows where to come. So that was kind of his like braggadocious line at the end. Like, if he wants a payday, come fight me. So that would be something. That's real. That's a real fighter though, and that's unified, like
how old is
undefeated.
Canelo?
I don't know, but he's still undefeated, and he's
I'll
still
look
holding
that
all the
up.
belts. So that's something serious as far as we were talking about, like being in the ring with a real boxer. You know what I mean? So because
34
I have
years
no
old,
doubt,
turning
34.
35, turning 35 July 18,
Yeah, and Jake Paul is 27. Canelo could fuck him
turning
up
28.
for sure. So going from one
Even
entertainment.
if I don't
Oh, go
trust
ahead.
any of these matches though. I don't. Even if he was to get into Canelo Alvarez, I think at this point, these people are in it for the business aspect of it.
Yeah, that's why I
Why
always said it would
can't
be
we
an
do what
exhibition. It wouldn't
WWE
be
does?
at the
Why can't we
titles.
do what WWE does with boxing? Because nobody wants to watch boxing for the actual competition of it.
I think that's a step too far. I'm just not a boxing specific purist or fan, but I'm sure that there's boxing fans that give a fuck.
I'm not saying there's not boxing fans that give a fuck. The people that watch these matches don't care about the actual sport of boxing, the actual competition and actual like style of it. The people that
Yeah,
don't like Logan Paul are the ones that are complaining about like this is BS, like us. But even stuff like we're not boxing aficionados, but we understand that like okay, this is not actual sport. This is entertainment, and that's
yeah,
fine. But like if the parties that are in this match, whatever it may be, Canelo, Tyson, Nate Robinson, whoever it may be, are in this match, there is some type of business understanding of like, hey, let's make it through that we can make all this money because we got advertisers. We can't end this match in 2 rounds because apparently Logan Jake could have ended that shit after 2 rounds,
hmm
but then he was like, "Nah, let up." Nah, I didn't want to. I didn't want to hurt somebody that didn't want to get that didn't deserve to get hurt.
yeah,
And then, but really, it's like you got advertising sponsors. You got
yeah.
you
It's
got
a
from 11 till 2 o'clock in the morning to run ads
the
and
word
make money.
exhibition explains it all. I mean, that's
You
what
know
it
what I'm
is.
saying?
It's not.
Like,
It's a, I mean, not to say it's non. I guess it's the boxing equivalent of being like non-canon. You know what I'm saying? Because it exists. It exists, but it's not like in division or not in competition. I don't know. I don't know the right way to say it because, like I said, I'm not a boxing
yeah,
person, but I know
it's
it
like the
exists on
step
a
below
record.
prize fighting. It's a step below prize fighting.
Yeah, 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 yeah. So, but yeah, if
Mm,
it's about making money, I mean, everybody's about making money, right? So,
yeah, I guess.
but
But
from
I don't entertain this stuff. It's just more just like, hey, it is what it is, but it's not for me.
yeah,
I'll let you go with yours.
I was gonna say from one entertainment corner to another, another juggernaut. Uh, Marvel's What If season 3, the trailer dropped. I am
I
so
heard.
excited for this. I watched it already, and of course, New Rockstars already has like a full
Hmm.
like 20-minute breakdown of everything. So, how do you feel about the state of Marvel or going into Phase 5? Because that's really just what I wanted to go into. Because what if, with it being like also somewhat non-canon and like the Marvel
Yeah,
sacred universe or whatever you want to call it, um, it's one of the best things that they've done in my opinion. It's probably my favorite like Disney show, or not Disney show, but Marvel show that they've
yeah.
done. So I just wanted to ask you that, like going forward, how do you feel about it?
So I haven't seen the trailer for What If season 3. One of my podcasts that I listened to, I was listening to it, but I didn't get too far into like their breakdown. But I did hear that they got Storm in there.
Yeah,
Am I correct? She's in the What If season 3. So I don't know what to again. I don't know
but
what. I just heard that like Storm is in the
it's
trailer.
it's
So
it's a, it's in the trailer. There's a scene of her with Thor's hammer, and it's just like, oh, so that's fucking awesome. So it's like, yep,
yeah,
that'd be
and I
cool.
remember the teaser they gave out after the end of season 2 when it was like Bucky and someone riding through like the Arizona desert.
Red Guardian, yeah, from
Yeah, yeah,
Black
yeah.
Widow. That's like Black Widow's dad.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Dude from Stranger Things.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I mean, what if is interesting. It's funny that you say that it's one of your favorite things because I feel like for most people it's like this is cool, but like I don't know how to take it. But I thought season 2 was better than season 1. But in my general thought of what's coming up from Marvel, it's definitely kind of weighing down a little bit, and I think part of that has to do with Marvel just kind of playing with its audience too much.
Yeah,
Right? It's like as wrestling fans, how many times do we fantasy book? And how many times do we like, oh, this, that, and the third? Or, I mean, this can happen, this, that happen. But at least, like, even if we're wrong, something pays off. We've been doing this since the pandemic. Nothing's paid off.
mm,
Like, what is the point of going through these deep dives on new rock stars and breaking down and over analyzing this stuff when it's just like they don't even know what they want to do?
yeah, yeah.
And it
You
feels
mean
like they're kind of just making stuff just to kind of keep up with just the pace of just releasing content. And as a fan, if you invest yourself in trying to like, oh, like where's Mephisto? Oh, when is Wanda coming back? Or whatever thing that might get you into the thing, it's like at some point it's just like, okay, we've done this for 3 years now, and literally nothing has paid off. And so now I think there seems to be a little bit of sense, because I think Agatha all along was encouraging, especially considering that like they first started filming that back like after WandaVision was over. And so the fact that there was some continuity even in that 4 year long break of like, storytelling and connective tissues, I thought that was encouraging. I've tried to stay away from the more recent trailers of Captain America: Brave New World, but I've heard
it's
that
always because they always release more and more, so you just got to go with that first one, and then that's it.
Yeah, but I've heard from the following trailers that it looks really good. Thunderbolts looks good. That looks good. I'm hoping that they get their shit together.
Yeah,
I hope they get
agree.
their shit together.
I agree, because I also am similar in just like with the trailers coming out of like Thunderbolts, all this stuff. It's like it looks good. Like you said, it's like it looks good. Like stock arrow is pointing up, but yeah, it's just hard to you can't forget Phase 4, like what we just came out of, right? And it's just like when you have them dropping the ball with like Secret Invasion, like that was so many people was like, what is this?
Bad.
Like what's happening? She's the most powerful being in the universe now. Like even the Eternals, bless you.
And I like the Eternals. I just think it would have been a better TV show than a movie.
Yeah, for the longest time, it's like, all right, is anybody going to talk about
Tiamat?
Tiamat? But now we're finally getting to it. So it's like, it's funny, like you say, it's like wrestling, but it's like, oh, they bring Tiamat back in, Brave New World, clearly. And it's like kind of when Randy Orton didn't get his shoulders down in King of the Ring, and then you circle back. And it's like, oh, okay.
For 4 months, you don't mention anything about it. Then all of a sudden, after Gunther wins his title, it's like, hey, remember back in May?
Exactly.
Didn't have my shoulders down. I was like, okay. But like I said, I feel like I think them paring down their schedule helps out, because next year I think we have 2 movies at least. Between Thunderbolts and Captain America. Is there a third?
Yes. Let me look at the slate right now. I did bring it up.
Because I know they got like at least 4 TV shows with like, Spider-Man, What If.
They got
Wonder Man looks interesting.
Fantastic Four after that, which is July.
Not July.
And that would be the last. No, not this year, next year. 2025.
Yeah, that's what I meant. 2025. July 2025 is Fantastic Four?
Yeah,
so that's
first steps.
What, 2 months after Thunderbolts?
Yeah,
because doesn't Captain America come out like March?
Valentine's Day. You got to get Black History Month in. Yeah, February.
And then Thunderbolts comes out May, and then Fantastic
Four is July 25th.
And that's the last movie this year?
That would be the last movie. And then the shows, Eyes of Wakanda, August. Marvel Zombies, October 3rd. Halloween. Wonder Man, December 2025.
I'm intrigued by that one.
Yeah.
And
a superhero, that's an actor.
Yeah, and then we have Spider-Man, Friendly Neighborhood
Spider-Man.
That's in January. So I think the paring down of the content is going to help out and give them a little bit more focus and cohesion. So
yeah.
I'll be
that's
there.
what I had.
I'll be there to watch.
All right.
My last one will take us back to Mike Tyson real quick. Did you see this interview from before the fight?
I did. After you put it in there, I was like, "What? Okay." And then I saw.
So are you familiar with this little girl?
Yeah, I've seen her before. I know exactly who she is. Dan Le Batard did an interview with her also directly after this. I saw that segment, but
I didn't see that. So I'm not gonna play the clip here, but this girl, her name's Jazzy. Her TikTok is I'm Jazzy World TV. You've probably seen her. She's just like this 12, 10-year-old, 11-year-old kid that basically somehow is like able to get all these interviews with celebrities, and she's just super positive, and it's more of just like, hey, I'm gonna ask you a very superficial, high level, kids question, and I'm gonna give you a chance to respond to kids in a positive way. She asked Mike about what his thoughts on the legacy that he will be leaving once all of it's said and done, and he gave her a very how would you describe it? Adult. Yeah. I mean, that's what I called it on our thing. I was like, ask a grown-up question, you get a grown-up answer. Because the first time I saw this was someone else had posted this on Twitter and said that, like, why did he have to, like, destroy that girl's dreams like that or whatever? Like, you could see her just, like, losing her adolescence. I'm like, and that's before I heard what he said. And then I watched the clip. I'm like, that is the realest shit that she will ever hear in her life. I have no problems with what Mike said. Now, to what Bomani says in his tweet, where it's like, that's a standard answer that's a Mike standard answer for that question about legacy. I don't know what Mike's standard answer about question about legacy, but what he said is, young Jassy, who I think is really good, asked a grown-up question and got a mushroom-tinged grown-up answer.
Yep.
And that is literally, I mean, yeah, the Mike part, the mushroom thing is just Mike be on Mike's show. You know what I'm saying? But the core essence of what he said is 100% fact. Because if you're doing it for legacy, you're just doing it out of selfishness. Like, there's no point in be like, oh, I want people to remember me for what I did. Like, even for her, if she's doing these interviews to be like, oh, I want people to remember me, and that's not the goal. That if that's your purpose for doing it, I feel bad for you.
Right.
Your goal should not be able to I should be make people remember me when I'm gone. You were you. There is billions of people in this world. You are not that special. You are creating content. Regardless if it's her or, us or anybody else. I'm not picking on her. I'm just saying in general, I don't think that's a bad comment. I don't think it's a bad thought. I think that's the best advice that he's given to her and to kids. Just the fact that it's the fact that he didn't dumb it down is maybe you can agree with it, but it's like it's Mike Tyson. Like, you ask a grown-up question, you're gonna get a grown-up answer.
I mean, she didn't know she was asking a grown, and this is where I just want to add the Dan Le Batard of it, because she did explain her point of view on it, and she was like, she was not, perturbed or thrown off by it, because she was like, it was definitely an answer she wasn't expecting at all, but she was like, when you're in journalism, you just got to be able to respect everybody's thoughts and opinions and stuff like that, and that's his thoughts on legacy, and I found them very interesting. So even that,
so she doesn't agree with
that's more mature. That's more mature than
that's a very PR answer, because it seems like she doesn't agree with his thoughts.
It's very PR, but she's saying, "Hey, I'm a journalist. I have journalistic, neutrality or whatever." So, and then they asked her, was she scared? It was like, no. And then I forget what else they asked her, but they're kind of just teasing her about the hilarity of the situation, just looking at it, because it's like, God damn, Mike. Obviously on the surface, Mike. It's obviously we get it, but still, just on a societal level, it's like, all right, you ain't had to
Why he ain't have to?
Well, once again, I agree. If she's saying she sees herself as a journalist, then she can take it. That's all. That's the end of the discussion.
But he's not saying that directly to her. He's not saying that directly to her. He's just answering a question.
My point is just like,
why do we have to always talk down to children like they're children? Like, sometimes, yes, I can probably water it down to some degree, but at the end of the day, sometimes you don't have to always just treat a kid like they're 5 years old.
Of course.
It's I don't think he said anything wrong. He just gave a real answer.
Yeah, for sure. That's exactly what he did.
So
I give you that. It was
my thing is sometimes I get the need to be oh, we need to. I just don't understand the need to always constantly just neuter and just not allow people to actually grow up and make them live in this bubble that everything is all right. That's kind of one of my issues with her show. But even I'm not her audience for her show. But it's just you're way too bubbly and positive that shit ain't real all the fucking time.
He was like, let's break this fourth wall with some Mike Tyson shit. That got some looks though. That goes viral for that reason.
So that's a little bit of long of a Percy. A lot spent on Mike Tyson. Maybe because we just don't want to get our ass whooped by a 58-year-old man. But nonetheless, do you have anything else before we start the show?
Nah, I'm good. Let's go.
Let's start the show, and then music. Yo, what's good? Let's get into this show. Episode 19 of the Wrestling Re-Up podcast. My name is Samson, the Habasha Hayes, and I'm coming through the crowd. And I'm here with my tag team partner.
It's Moody for the French Fried Fro off the top rope. This is the Wrestling Re-Up podcast.
And
We're getting into this weekly
stroll.
Yep, of the
Through
Avenue
the
of
Avenue
Wrestling.
of Wrestling. Ah, see, you remember. You didn't even need
Of
to read
course
it
I
like I
remember.
do sometimes.
I got it
Where
off
can they
top.
find us, Moody? Where can they find us?
You can find us on Instagram, Gmail, and TikTok, all at the Wrestling Re-Up. And the Gmail is thewrestlingre@gmail.com. Go ahead and give us your likes, subscribes, YouTube. Also, we got clips coming out on YouTube. That's also the Wrestling Re-Up podcast. So check us out everywhere.
Yeah. I just created a Blue Sky account yesterday on a personal level just because I was like, if everybody leaving Twitter, I'll leave Twitter. Twitter is a cesspool, but not everybody's migrated over to Blue Sky, but so far it's a much more healthier environment than Twitter is.
The conversation is happening. I'm hearing it from a bunch of different outlets.
It's cool because Blue Sky has this thing called starter packs, which basically is just like a list of people that is like, if you want to follow like WWE content or whatever, like here's a starter pack of all of these people that are associated with it. And so like you could just go through and just add, follow and stuff like that. So they have ones for a bunch of those. We are also on different podcasting services, still working on getting us spread out to all of the individual ones, but you can find us on Spotify, YouTube podcast, and other places as well. This is episode 19, one away from the big 20. Almost about to be drinking age right now for this podcast. Let's get into it. It seems like we have a pretty light week in general, but I think that is to be explained once we get through some of these subject matters, specifically when we start with Raw. So I think we could take ourselves straight into the flagship store of Monday Night Raw. I'm going to let you start off, Moody, with what you picked up from Raw, because you have the highest graded thing here.
Yeah, it was in a vacuum. It was specifically Seth's storyline, because, the Bloodline fallout is still happening with them gearing up for Survivor Series, and both of them are looking for their fifth member. And they both, at different times in the show, approached Seth, like, hey, you want to be our fifth? And I titled this Seth is Brave because obviously OG Bloodline is faces, so it's not like he's in direct threat, but obviously the Roman and Seth history does not have to be explained. And later on, Solo approaches him and is like, hey, you hate Roman? I hate Roman. Let's beat his ass together. It just makes sense, right? And Seth is like, hey, the only thing that I would probably despise more, I despise Roman, but the last thing I see myself doing is tagging with a Roman wannabe.
Roman wannabe. I was like, ooh.
Yeah, or Tribal Chief Jr., whatever he said. And it's just like, oh, damn. Jacob is right there. Solo, puts the arm out, puts on his chest, like, hey, chill out. I got this. You know what I'm saying? But obviously, Seth ain't afraid of nobody, but I was just like, God damn, just the visuals of certain guys, which we will get into later. I almost made that a champion of the week, but the visuals of certain guys when they stand next to each other, you're just like, okay, give me that. So that's why I got that. That was my primo for Raw this week.
Yeah, I had this as my mid, just a general segment of just both bloodlines looking for a fifth. But obviously Raw was more dedicated to getting Seth involved in the storyline. I'm gonna say, like, I think listening to like one of the wrestling podcasts, I was spoiled that this was basically going to be the match at Survivor Series, where Seth was going to join the OG, and then Bronson was going to join the new. I don't know, in a broad sense, I don't know how I feel about that. It feels like we're just kind of shoehorning these two guys in to a match.
Hmm.
Though, as you're playing it out on television, I thought it was done really well. I thought it was
Hmm.
done really well. Oh, camera. Okay. I thought it was done really well. Um, I did like, the conversation that Jimmy had with Seth and that not working out. Solo is hilarious. Like that, like
Hmm.
it's funny. The bloodline in general, don't matter if it's the new bloodline or the OG bloodline, for such a serious group and like storyline for the most part, it has a lot of hilarious moments. Like
Oh, absolutely.
there are some funny characters in both factions that is really entertaining to watch. Yeah, the segment that he had with Solo in the parking lot, I thought that was really good. And like I said, when he's like, I don't want to be aligned with a fake, or want to be Roman Reigns, I'm like, oh damn. Um,
Hmm.
so it was a good start on Monday before we get to what happened last night on Friday, but um I was a little unsure. That's why I have it in mids because I'm like, I'm not sure how I feel about this. Kind of just, it seems like we're just kind of trying to fit 5 for 5. I'd rather just do 4 versus 4 if
Yeah,
that was
yeah.
the case. But as the first step of a storyline before we even get to like SmackDown, I thought this was a really good step as far as like trying to naturally incorporate it into the show. Because I love the fact that Seth was like, hell no.
Yeah. Because it
That's the
wouldn't make
reason I liked it.
sense. It just wouldn't make sense.
Exactly. I like the reason he said hell no to both of them. So that's the reason why I'm like, I give that a little bit more credit rather than like, yeah, you got me. So,
Hmm.
my
Uh,
one question I have to push along is like, Seth made a good point about Roman like not being the good guy in this at all. Like, I think even Cass said this on the Masked Man that like both Solo and Roman are both bad in this situation.
yeah.
Like, there's no good guy in this situation. We just like Roman a little bit more than Solo. But like, what does it mean for Roman to get his spot back? Are we just is it not to make real life analogies, but is this another facsimile of like just getting Trump back into office?
I don't read that deep into it.
I'm not saying like I'm
Yeah.
saying the essence of like you got bad out, he took a break, and now you trying to get bad back in. And it's like, to
Yeah.
what extent are we doing this for? Because it's like, yeah, we might not like Solo, this, that, and the third, but what happens when Roman Reigns gets to Ulufalu and be, possibly becomes champion again? And it's like, we just put ourselves back in the same cycle that we just got ourselves out of.
Yeah. That's a good point. Oh, yeah. Thinking about it like that. Sure. I would imagine that it's probably just the character work that they laid down already. Because Jay was already saying we're doing it as equals. And that's the inherent face turn that we're why. I mean, we wanted Roman to come back anyway. He's going to get a pop anyway. But part of that was going to have to be a face turn when Solo took Tribal Chief from him. So you're right in the fact that once he's empowered, we can't predict what he does. But I think that's just the risk that we're taking, like in a kayfabe sense. Because right now, Jay is like, "Hey, we all equals. Like that's the standard. So that's what we rolling with." But at
And
any
Roman will
point,
say
Roman
that to make his shit
to get
to
what he
make
wants,
it
maybe,
to
yeah.
what he wants, and then by the time he gets it, it's like, yo, we going back to the old world order.
Well, we'll have to cross that bridge when we get there and
I
just
think
hope
that's an
for the
interesting
best.
storyline. I think that's an interesting storyline to keep in the back of the head to see like, is this a full Roman face turn, or is this you know a better of the best of worst decisions, of
Yeah,
lesser
yeah,
two evils that we're kind of going with here. So like we're
for
kind of
sure.
asked out in either regard. So I thought that was an interesting aspect from that storyline. We'll pick that back that up when we get to Friday. Um, let's get into our mids. My other mid that I have is the Miz and Final Testament jump the Wide Six. I thought this was an interesting storyline because we talked about it last week. It was like Miz was kidnapped. They had him. The White Six had him tied up and everything, duct taped on his mouth and everything. And I was like, well, where's he going to be? Is he going to be? We asked the question. Is like, is he going to be on Raw next week? How does that work out? This nigga was on Raw.
Yeah.
He was right there in a nice suit, talking to Karrion Cross, saying, "Oh, they let me go. I apologize. Blah blah blah. This, that, and the third." And Karrion Cross like, "I don't believe you." Take him out to the ring. End up getting jumped by the White Six. Miz hitting a chair on the back of is it Eric Rowan? Yeah, Eric Rowan, right?
Yeah. Eric Rowan.
And I thought it was a pretty interesting segment. I'm surprisingly intrigued by a lot of what's happening right now within this storyline. Like more so on the White Six are kind of just like the supernatural aspect that makes it a little bit more interesting. But I'm really curious on the Karrion Cross, Final Testament Miz side of this. Of like, where is this? What does this do for everyone here? It's not up there. It's like it's creeping up. It's like barely getting a little bit of mid rising for me.
Okay. For me, it's funny because the first question, like you said, is like, how the hell does Miz get away? But then I think it actually did kind of make sense with what Miz said, how he was like, oh, they just like let me go and I apologize and stuff. Because I do want to push back on them being supernatural. They're not supernatural. They're just like haunting figures. But they are very much grounded. Like they're just creepy with their videotapes. That's all it is. So because remember, we thought Chad Gable was dead. And then the next week, it's the same thing with Chad Gable. And he said, I had a near-death experience when I came to like the Wyatt Six were in front of me, and same thing. So people have to throw themselves at the mercy of Wyatt Six for them to let them go, because they're still faces at the end of the day, even despite their presentation. But at least as far as setting the trap for them, I didn't see that coming. Like, so if anything, like you said, that was more intriguing than anything. The fact that we got Karrion Cross and Final Testament standing tall is like, okay. Because we haven't seen that yet from the Wyatt Six when they're
honestly
beat
surprised
down.
that like Miz is like aligned with the Final Testament. I don't know if it's like for a Survivor Series thing, but it seems like he's kind of part of this faction.
Not yet, but he's definitely still working with them. And honestly, when Karrion was like, hey, you remember that time I said I'm going to break your legs? Well, and then he drags him out to the ring. So now it makes me think that he's like, Miz isn't indebted, or like he's forced into this relationship, like somewhat, because originally they helped him, or not helped him, but Karrion put that seed in his head about turning on R-Truth, when he was like, oh, I remember when that used to be the WWE title. So at first Miz thought he was doing the right thing aligning with them, but they're just gonna backstab everybody. They're fucking heels. So that's the way I read it anyway. Enjoyed the segment. Mid-rising for sure.
As I said, Final Testament's definitely come up a long way from like where they started to where they're at right now. I think especially Karrion Cross is definitely feeling a little bit more comfortable in his character. And it's starting to feel like, I wouldn't say defined, but it definitely feels like there's something that he could build upon on. So I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued to see where it goes forward.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your mid.
The other one I had is just the continuation of we know we got our number one contender, Damian Priest, now up against Gunther. The swerve here, which is why I put it in mid, I'd have this mid slight stock down, like ever so, because I like because I asked last week, was it too early for Damian and Gunther again? And because I feel like Damian is credible. So it's like you want to give him that time between losing the title and like challenging again. So because I don't predict him to win, not realistically. And the swerve they hit me with was Damian telling or admitting to the crowd that like Gunther's scared, or he's shook in his personality just because he's not as dominant as he thinks he is, because he lost to Cody at Crown Jewel. And we start to see him flinch a little bit, and Ludwig Kaiser has to come out there and basically big up his OG, his boss. And even Gunther doesn't like that, which that just also, because I think it's an interesting angle. It's not my cup of tea to have like Gunther all of a sudden being shook just because he lost to Cody. So,
I don't believe that either. That's my biggest problem with it. Is
that's not
like,
my cup of tea. So with Ludwig Kaiser coming out, that it puts two things in front of or two storylines in my head immediately, because we know Ludwig Kaiser is a superstar in the making too, and he just needs his solo run. So I'm like, all right, are we gonna do this with Ludwig? Because how long is Ludwig Kaiser just gonna take disrespect from Gunther? I wasn't expecting him to like punch Gunther or anything in that point in time, but it just put that nugget in my head also of like, I don't like this. Basically, I don't know, maybe it was just me. I guess I'm overbooking in my head, but
yeah,
I knew just him sniveling, or not sniveling, but like being a shade above sniveling runaway heel. I just didn't like that. So that's why it's
yeah.
like mid stock down, but I'm still in on the story being told.
I agree with you pretty much 100%. Though, like, I probably have this as shake at the moment because I'm just a little unsure. Because, again, I think we're, like I've been mentioning for the last, like, almost month, it seems like. It feels like with Gunther, we're in a holding pattern and just kind of accumulating days. And so, to your point, when Damian Priest comes out and says to Gunther, oh, I saw your match against Cody and you don't look like the same guy and you are losing confidence. It's like, are we just pulling shit out of our ass now?
Yeah.
Like, we're just saying shit just to make it feel real. And it's like, credit to Gunther for, doing the acting job in his face and like showing the doubt. But I'm like, if you watch this, what happened in the last month to say that this man has any lack of credibility
Confidence. Yeah.
and confidence in himself that what Damian Priest is saying is true? And this is where I think they're trying to do their best to merge storylines together. Because remember, like, Ludwig has always had this kind of subordinate role with Gunther. When they first came up, the dude would just chop him on the chest because he didn't like what Ludwig did or something like that. That I did like the aspect of Ludwig coming out and cutting a promo, bigging up, Gunther, and then Gunther trying to be like, yo, like, chill out with that noise and all that stuff. I thought that was interesting. That's interesting in itself as a vacuum. As you mix it in with what Damian Priest says, it makes me a little bit unsure about what's happening here, other than the fact that, like, we need to give Gunther a challenger.
Yeah, it's just to put over
So
that point that he's losing confidence. That's all. But
I
like
just
Damien
don't
said,
I
it's
just
like,
don't believe in him
and we
losing
don't believe
confidence.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not the character of Gunther wouldn't have done, unless, because you're trying to make
There,
Crown Jewel
if
canon.
you want to show him
They were
lose
trying.
confidence, you got to do something better because, again, Gunther, he has all the credibility to be a really top-notch heel, but when you use this 1980s heel tactics of just calling people street trash, it's like, all right, bro, like, you really don't got nothing to say then. So
Yeah,
I don't know
that's
where
all
it
I had
leads
for
us
that, though.
to. Does it lead to like Ludwig costing Gunther the title and telling him that he needs to like get his shit right before you can be someone to hold that title again? I don't know, but I don't see Gunther losing his title. I think this is
Yeah,
just something to be like. You'll see it during the match where it's like there's going to be some point where like Gunther is going to feel like this is out of his depth to win, and then he pulls out the win.
yeah. And like you said, that could be the Ludwig
maybe
interference.
Ludwig
Yeah,
interferes and like he ends up getting a sketchy win, and you're like, oh, when's the last time Gunther got a
because
win?
Ludwig, because he doesn't do that. Yeah,
Yeah, so maybe that's the route that we go. I'll get into my Reggie, and it's Raw, so you know what I'm going to be talking about when we talk about Reggie's.
yeah.
Adam Pearce. This Reggie Award is named after you, bruh. It's named after you, Adam Pearce. GM Adam Pearce. I gotta be clear about that, not the actual real person, Adam Pearce. You make the Reggie this week because Seth Rollins comes into your office asking to get another match with Bronson Reed. This, that, and the third, blah, 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 blah. And then you, just like Adam Pearce, because he's always just so overwhelmed by his job that he just like always looks like he's about to just, well, he doesn't have any hair anymore, but like He's gonna rip whatever follicles that he has left in his scalp out of his head
Yeah.
because the stress of the job is just unbearable to him. That he's like, fine, forget it. You'll get your max next week or whenever you have with Bronson Reed. And I'm like, you duddo bird. Did you just make a singles match between Seth Rollins and Bronson Reed again? We know how this match is going to end. It's not even going to start.
Yeah.
This is going to be a no DQ. You're going to come out, be mad, be like, oh my God, I've had it up to here, blah, 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 blah. Last man standing match. So why are we dragging our feet when we know that if you could put these men in a singles match, you're not having a match? Adam Pearce, you suck. You suck. I swear. I will keep getting at Adam Pearce. The logical step would not just to be given their third singles match, which they've tried to have singles matches and it never works out. They've had one singles match that actually worked out. It was that Crown Jewel. And was that even a singles match? Because it was a street fight, right? Because he hit him with the
He stomped him on the steel steps. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So again, in what world do you think putting Seth Rollins and Bronson Reed in a regular singles one-on-one match makes any sense? Other than like, oh, we're just trying to push storylines along. So, Adam Pearce, get used to it. Again, the Raw Reggie is named after you, so you shouldn't be surprised that you make this list. You should be more surprised when I don't call Adam Pearce out for Reggie. And if I don't call him Adam Pearce out for Reggie, it's more so because it's just like
he didn't have a segment that week.
He didn't even have a segment, or I'm just like, bruh, I'm just gonna give you a break, even though you don't deserve a break. But Adam Pearce, just get comfy. You got mortgage due. Your mortgage is due every week for the Reggie. Let's get into these shakes. Go ahead. No, if you have any thoughts on Adam Pearce, please.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say maybe the next logical step would be a steel cage, right? To keep them contained.
Anything but a singles match.
Yeah, I get you.
Anything.
I'm just saying that would have been a better answer than, like you said, just a one-on-one on Raw next week. Because, like you said, it's already happened twice. So, but yeah, go into your shake.
Okay, we'll start off with the similar shake that we got. The Powerpuff Girls retained against Liv and Raquel. Pretty obvious, I think. Though maybe there is a little bit of like maybe there might be a surprise with Liv and Raquel taking the titles. I wouldn't have been shocked, but my shake on here is two things. Is A, I like Jade's new finisher. I don't know what it's called, but I put the little clip in here on the Twitter on the doc. But her new finisher that she hit on Jade on Liv was pretty dope. And second, I missed it, but Damage Control's now faces.
Yeah, I mean, but they'll just with the women's division, like like acknowledging it. They've done that with Damage Control before. So
I must have missed it because like I saw Dakota Kai came out, and then I was like, oh, Dakota Kai's back, and then like she got a pop, and then
they've been
Sky's coming out to save Jade and Bianca, and they're dancing at the end. I'm like, since when this happened?
Well, no, they've been faces since after WrestleMania, because Bayley took the title and then they got drafted, or not after WrestleMania, but they got drafted to Raw and they were just faces immediately. And everybody was like, what?
So I guess maybe I missed that.
And then I think it's just, they just work heel a lot of that time because Io has that capability or they both have that capability, and they're too good to not be in the title picture. When you got face champions, they got to work heel. So I think that's kind of like where it's maybe gets murky at. But then you have Dakota Kai, and that just really sends it over the edge. Okay, y'all are really faces. Like they was geeked up, like hugging and screaming with her back. So good to see her on TV though.
Yeah. What was your thoughts on the Powerpuff Girls retaining?
It's appropriate. Like I didn't think that they were going to win. I mean, as this storyline continues, throughout the week. That's where it made it serious for me, where I was like, oh, okay, we're actually doing this like continued like rivalry. So at this point, I thought it was like standard, basically,
Okay. Okay. My other two shakes that I got, New Day Celebration episode needs to get here fast. We're just dragging our feet at this point. I get it. Like, we trying to reach an anniversary date. I hope that's next week, because right now we're just kind of seeing the same rotation of Xavier and Woods not being on the same page. Though I will say this week maybe opened up the opportunity to show that, hey, maybe it's not a split, but more so getting Kofi to see what Woods is seeing. Kind
Yeah.
of similar to like the Street Profits. It's like, all right, how many times are we just gonna be the happy-go-lucky faces? And sometimes we just gotta show attitude and just beat the fuck out of people.
Right.
And Kofi, his entire career is literally like, I'm just happy to be here.
Power of positivity.
Even before that, ever since he was SOS.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying, but he's
like,
been positive the entire time. He's definitely been a face positive character.
I need Kofi to be like, bro, yeah, I'm about to smack somebody real quick because I don't like the way he looked at me.
Right.
So I don't know, but it feels like they possibly opened the door for them to both be heel rather than just the traditional split. So either way, we need to hurry up and get to these episodes. And then my last thought, which I wrote before news came out about this, I understand the need for pre-tapes, but this is way too much. Because it didn't hit me until the Jade, the Powerpuff Girls versus Liv and Raquel match. I was like, there's a lot of SmackDown people on this episode.
Yeah.
Because you had Tiffany, you had Nia, you had Naomi, you had Bailey, you had the entire new Bloodline. That right there tells you this was pre-taped. Because there's no way there's all those SmackDown people there on a Raw show. And then the same thing happens on SmackDown. Whereas, like, why are all these Raw people here on a SmackDown show? And my only thought process is that this is pre-taped. And then there was a tweet that came out, news came out later this week that there is going to be more pre-tapes to finish out this year. And it makes sense. It's the holidays.
The holidays, yeah.
So I don't have a problem with it necessarily. It's just you can feel when it's pre-taped. And I'll chalk this up as the first year, but if this is going to be in the rotation, I'm happy that the wrestlers get breaks. But as far as like a consumer taking in this product, you got to do a better job.
Yeah.
Like these pre-tapes, they show. And the whole aspect of wrestling, especially this era of wrestling since we've had Monday Night Raw, is that it's live and anything can happen.
Yeah,
and watch a show and be like, oh yeah, like y'all are still in the same city, we're in the same clothes. Y'all put that makeup on Bronson Reed's eye because, you know, the wound that he took from Crown Jewel, you know, is not the same as what it looked like. There's just certain things you can tell where it's like, there's just certain things you could tell that it's just like, this is not happening now.
Yeah.
And it feels like it. So I don't have a problem. It's just something that they need to kind of iron out the wrinkles to make it feel as live as possible. Because right now you can tell it's taped, and it feels like these are house shows more than an actual like legitimate episode of Raw or SmackDown.
I would say it. Yeah, you feel it. It's funny as you like go through it, and it's like, oh, you got the whole bloodline and like just all the SmackDown characters. It's like, yeah, okay, yeah. When you stack it up, it's like, that's super obvious, right? But I would say just even like you said, as a consumer, it just goes to your other point earlier that you said how, you know, it was spoiled for you. The fifth member was spoiled for you earlier on in the week. That has to do with, you know, pre-tapings. I mean, that's just going to be part of it that comes with it. But I'm glad that it wasn't spoiled for me. So that's why. Knowing that the pre-tapes were coming, I mean, we're doing a whole fucking podcast on wrestling. Like, we are deep cut fucking fans listening to pods and shit, and they told us, or Ringer Wrestling told us And I remember Kaz gets to the point where he's like, "Oh yeah, it's revealed that," he was like, "Oh yeah, spoiler," and I definitely hit that skip. I definitely skipped it for that like minute or 2 minutes. They didn't take up too much time, so
I mean,
I
I
was
was
just glad I
fooled
was
two
able to
weeks
protect
ago
myself.
by
But
Kaz when he said that Roman said yeet on SmackDown. Because
yeah,
again, like they filmed 2 episodes in Brooklyn that night.
yeah,
And I'm like, okay.
yeah, we got to take more care of ourselves as fans to just block that out, just like you said with the Marvel trailers. Just like if
I
you
get it,
know,
it's
then
being
it's just
blocked.
I'd be like,
I don't even care about necessarily the spoilers. I'm talking about just watching the show and feeling like this is pre-taped. You can even tell by the crowd because the crowd is out of it.
yeah, they're already tired. That's the biggest giveaway, honestly, for me, because I'm down. Like they got the best roster in the world. We know that. So like they can carry it, and that's really the giveaway is the crowd being tired for real.
Yeah, the crowd is tired because you're sitting there for 5 hours of a television show, and you've seen the Street Profits and Cody Rhodes come out 4 times. How many times I'm gonna whoa? Nonetheless. You got any more thoughts on the flagship before we move to the bodega?
Nah, we good. We covered Raw thoroughly.
Extensively. Let's move over to the bodega. I'm pretty light on. But I do think we do have an agreement that we both like the Chase Andre Chase Rich Holland promo and them setting up a match for next week where Chase U is on the line.
Yeah. I enjoy it. I thought it was funny how Ridge Holland immediately his response to that is like, I don't give a damn about your university, but at least it goes from that to the promo ending in, if I beat you, then your relationship with Thea Hale is over. Your relationship with Idris Inoue is over. Just naming all the people in Chase U, and I'm just like, okay, Duke Hudson, it's over. So he obviously won him over with that stipulation. I did think it was funny how he's just like, I don't give a damn about that. Like already, like I stomped all y'all out by myself like a month ago. You don't remember that when I put your buddies through tables? But I also love Andre being like, I'm gonna give you a Chase U sized ass whooping next week. I'm like, hell
I thought it was good too.
Like, hey, Chase is a thug. Like he's from the streets of Jersey City. This man gambled away his university and is on the come up. Like, got it back. He said, we on the come up. And he got a dude that he took care of. He rehabbed. Remember, he needed an identity. And you gonna backstab us. All right. No, you gonna run the fade.
I'm gonna need Andre Chase to lose this joint.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Align himself with Tony D.
Just make a deal. Yeah, I would love that vignette.
He's gotta join the family. He's gotta join the family.
It's not gonna be that. Like anytime Tony D gets a request like that, it's always the mob you owe me. Because he's done this with Legado del Fantasma, where they were completely absorbed into the family at that point in time. That's what I would believe. If he lost, then maybe they would be absorbed, like all of Chase U. I don't think it would just be it. But either way, that goes to your same point. But that's a vignette or a storyline. I can get behind that. I like that already.
I like the mob connections because, it's like, when you watch some of these like old mob shows or whatever, it's like, oh yeah, like we're from the Chicago and we got our connects down in Kansas City. Right? Like Tony D'Angelo's from Chicago. Yeah. So it's like, yo, like this is the Chicago syndicate. Andre, I'm gonna need you to get Jersey set.
Right, exactly. Set up the East Coast for us.
Yeah, the Jersey syndicate. We got the Chicago syndicate. You know what I'm saying? Like we running shit. So
and then Chase U is just a cover university, like the Art Institute. It's just
that's the laundry scheme right there. Yeah. I like the fact that he brought up Thea Hale. I'm still dying on that hill. Thea Hale
is hard. I love Thea Hale.
I don't trust you. Thea Hale is gonna cost Andre Chase this. Thea Hale's costing Andre Chase this.
I don't know how many times can you keep kicking the ball down the field. Hey, she gonna backstab him this time. Hey, it'll be this time. She been loyal this entire time. She was horrified when Ridge beat down her classmates. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's fine. You can have your booking, but I'm just pointing that out.
I did give her the my baby title award. That ain't my baby.
right? But that's funny.
No, yeah.
But yeah, I'm
Like, I
looking forward
keep
to it.
kicking the
Yeah.
can down, but when I'm right,
All right, sure.
I'm gonna be right.
Okay.
It might be 2046, but I'll be right.
Hmm.
My other mid on here was I like the tag team brawl to end the show.
Yeah.
It looked good. It looked good. I wish there was that one last moment before it went off where like somebody took like a got put through the table. But
Yeah.
overall, I thought it was like with the cameras just like losing his balance and everything. I was like, oh okay, y'all scrapping out here. I'm
Hmm.
curious to see how this kind of turns out. And so OTM, uh, with
Hank and Tank was out
Hank
there.
and Tank, and then I'm forgetting the third team or fourth team, but I'm intrigued by that match for whenever
Yeah.
they do, whether it's next week, whenever. I'm like that's scrapping. I'm like, all right, y'all scrapping out here. I'm here for it.
Hmm. For me, it felt hollow, really. I
Mm,
think because it was just like because all of them put together, I don't like you can't even remember I can't remember the last tag team's name either. But I know
yeah.
Hank and Tank is hot right now. And OTM, that's the same crew that, Jada Parker rolls with. And I've just
Mm-hmm.
seen them really be getting vignettes, and I don't know how many W's they've actually stacked up. So it's hard for me to care about this outside of the physical action. I'm still not like saying that I can't enjoy this match. I'm sure it can be amazing, but yeah, just character wise, I'm still like, okay, I guess all the tag teams are gonna fight next week. You know what I'm saying? It's kind
Yeah.
of like it felt kind of like when they do like the way more common thing is when they do the 4-on-4 women's matches, not in the main
Yeah.
event. Like NXT had the 5-on-5 main event one, which was awesome. But when they're not in the main event, it's like, oh, clearly we're just putting all the women, in this one 6-minute, 7-minute moment. That's how it kind of felt to me. Just
I
because
feel
like
you.
I said, they're not really that over with me yet.
I feel you. Like I said, like none of them are really that over with me either. I think it was more so just the visual. I'm like, if you
Yeah,
watched it without sound, it looked good. I'm like, okay,
yeah,
I'd be
yeah,
intrigued for it. So I'm not necessarily it's mid rising. It's more just like mid stable. But I'm like, hey, at least it kind of caught my attention. So
yeah.
that's where I kind of have it there. I think your next mid with the internet crowd is controversial.
Yeah, is it? That'd be interesting to hear. Because in my opinion, Adriana Rizzo is completely justified. Um, when Nikita Lyons made her return, she got attacked by somebody. And we didn't know for a week who that person was until she does her
Mm-hmm.
own detective work, her and the family, and we find out that it's Nikita Lyons. And then we remember that funny moment when there's the multi-women tag match. I think that was last week. Or not that one. It was like 2 weeks ago when she was tagging with Kaylani. And she came down to the ring to like basically interfere with the match because Nikita was in the match. And Kalani calmed her down, was like, "What are you doing?" And then Adriana's like, "She beat me up last week. She's the one who attacked me." And then Kalani's like, "Oh, beat her ass, bitch." So this is that match. This is that match that we got now. Like
Yeah.
clearly, like Nikita, why you beat my ass? Like, you know what I'm saying? What do you say fuck me for? So granted, we know that Nikita is at least middleweight woman, where Rizzo is not. She's more in the petite, Roxanne Perez kind of build. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? So as we say, just aesthetically, we knew how this should have went, and it went how it should have went. But I stand like Rizzo stood on business because she hit her in the head with that crowbar. Like, no, what's up, bitch? It ain't so nice now, is it, sweetheart? She said that sweetheart. I was like, yeah, fuck her. Like, come see me about this. I got the family behind me. Fuck this bitch. Like, so that's why that was stock up for me. I don't know how long it goes, but I'm like, and Stack should stand up. Like, next time she try and come see her, no, Stack should be there. No, fuck that. Like, we a
Yeah.
mob family. Like, you ain't about to beat my sister up. I don't care.
All
But yeah,
right.
that's why I was
Respect.
hyped about it. So
No, respect to the answer. Because like I said, I don't really have much of a thought. I just remember popping on X or Twitter when that during this night or the next day, and the first thing I saw was just like slander towards Nikita Lyons and her work rate,
her work
and
rate.
just saying, yeah, Like, just saying the fact that, like, yo, you've been here 3 years and this is the type of wrestling that you still doing?
Oh, okay.
Like, it was
Oh,
like the wrestling in here left a lot to be desired. And then, like, Nikita Lyons, I saw
mm,
some highlights and I was like, ugh,
yeah,
ugh.
yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
I don't know about this. Like, there need to be a little bit of thought. Like, she had her in a full Nelson at one point, and then try to like bang her head across the ropes. I'm like, girl, just use the turnbuckle.
Yeah, didn't know what that was. Did not
Like,
know.
she tried to like do like the hip check to Rizzo, and I'm like,
Mhm.
it sucks because Jada Parker does the hip check, and it's way more vicious than
Yeah,
what Nikita Lyons was doing. Like, Nikita Lyons wasn't even really doing a real hip check like Jada Parker is, where she's like running into you. She was just like kind of standing next to her and just kind of like swaying her hip right into her head. And I'm like, that doesn't convey a lot of
force. Yeah,
violence,
momentum.
force,
Yeah,
that you think it conveys here. And so I don't have any personal. I say it was more controversial from the internet, the
yeah, yeah.
IWC, because they're just going in on Nikita
Okay.
Lyons and her work rate.
It's funny because I'm about to say that, like, oh, I'm not a part of that, but I am. But I didn't hear any of that. Not in my
Yeah,
circle. My circle is all positivity and just like, what are we gonna do next? So that's why I mentioned it was all story for me, which is
yeah.
that's why I got hyped.
That's
So
I respect the answer. I respect the answer. You got Reggie,
yeah,
surprising Reggie, just for the
nah.
names that I guess are here.
This is obviously this has nothing to do with the match itself. It has to do with our booking, like we were talking about. So I guess it is the match, sort of. But the fact not only we both said, I hope Becker and Julia like can get this win and then like not be a tag team. And I'm like, but we're still seeing it, you know?
Yeah,
And not to mention they beat the Black Queen Slash and Jakara Jackson, which who were just on Raw and SmackDown showing their faces like semi call up, you know what I'm saying, just challenging for the women's tag team titles.
mm-hmm.
And we get, because obviously this match was great. It was just the storyline of why are they still together and why did these two have to be the ones to lose to them? You could have
Yeah.
found it could have been JC Jane and not Fallon Henley, but the other one.
Yeah,
Yeah. The one that's not
Desmond Nix.
Jasmine Nix. It could have been this two. Fine. It wouldn't have been Reggie. It would have been Shake, and I would have mentioned that I don't want them as a tag team. But
Yeah,
the fact that you're like semi calling up, like Lash and
why are they taking a loss here against
why are they taking a loss right here?
two people that you know you're trying to put over?
Exactly.
Yeah,
So
that's fair.
that was it for me.
Yeah. All right, let's get into this shake quickly. I'll have one shake from this, and it's Kalani needs to squat up.
Mm.
It's
Yeah.
been so you lost your North American title to Fallon Henley because the numbers game got to you. You ran it back this week, and the numbers game got to you again. And so now I'm like, okay, clearly you need a tag team.
You need
to
some
align
backup.
with yourself. I don't know if Jade and Bianca are going to be on NXT every Tuesday enough to be your backup. So is it going to be? I don't know how long Lash and Jakar are going to be there because it seems like they're going to get called up. Ooh, you still there? Okay, you lagged for a little bit. I wasn't. No, your picture lagged for a little bit. I wasn't sure if it dropped or anything.
Okay.
So, but she needs two people to be. She needs at least two people to be like cover her. I don't know who those two people are, but you gonna need a squad up. You're gonna need a squad up, girl. So, do you have any thoughts who might be her?
I think you were right in saying that it could be Bianca and Jade. Granted, like they have like their continued or like their sort of storyline with like Liv and Raquel right now, but those are the last, like, that's the last team we see in her all black girl power with. You know what I'm saying? When they came down to NXT before, so they clearly were putting over that they're friends, and we know the tag team titles can float, so that wouldn't surprise me at all.
But having Jade and Bianca along with Kalani, I want to say toxic attraction. It's not. It's fatal influence. Fatal influence.
Fatal influence. Yeah.
That is not a match.
That's not fair. Yeah, exactly. That's not a fair match.
Not fair.
So you would have to pick. All right. Jada, I mean, Jada, she's definitely a badass, like want to stand on her own type shit, but she's also in that North American, women's title picture. I mean, or she can be, honestly. I think she would be at the top of that because she challenged Roxanne and lost. So she's really in the NXT title picture, but whatever. But she could be in the North American like division. Who else is there? We got Carmen Petrovic. She's in that like will they, won't they with Adonis or Ashanti the Adonis.
Oh, yeah.
He keeps on hitting on her. That she ain't feeling it. So yeah, Carmen Petrovic. Who else?
Dr. Umar would be
Not
so
sure.
mad at the black man on NXT.
Wait, what you saying? Well,
Dr. Umar would be so mad at the black man on NXT.
Yeah.
You got two dark-skinned brothers going after these snow bunnies.
But yeah, not sure. But you're right. She does need to squat up. She need to do her research and find somebody back there that's gonna have her back.
Yeah. All right. Your shake.
Yeah, my shake. These were because there was actual wrestling on here. We talked about a little bit, but there was actually a lot more. The Iron Survivor qualifications for NXT Deadline, the next pay-per-view. Sol Ruka hits the Soul Snatcher over Cora Jade. She qualifies. Cedric Alexander loses to Wesley. And Javon Evans gets the win over Lexis King. So these finals, or the Iron Survivor match, will be at NXT Deadline. 5 people are in this match to start off. And then in 5-minute intervals, people are adding to the match. But it's multiple pinfall. So you're scoring points with every pinfall submission that all these people are getting. And then whoever
That's how Trick
has
won, right?
the highest is... Huh?
Isn't that how Trick won the title last time?
That's how you win a title shot. Yeah, that's how you win a title shot.
That's how he won the title shot. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I remember he won like 2 or 3 pinfalls at like the last second to like end up getting. Yeah. Okay. Curious. Interesting. That's December 7th. So we got about 2 weeks before a deadline. So curious about that. No surprises here with the winners. Sol Ruka, Wesley, Javon. So nothing too surprising here, but nice to see that at least, like, more tournaments. So that's another bit of a tournament, that thing that we got. So
for sure, to carry us into the holiday season.
Anything else from the bodega?
No, that's it. Let's
pull up to this coffee shop, AEW Dynamite, and it was billed Mox seizes the Superstation, TBS. How many people do you think know what the TBS Superstation
what the Superstation is? Yeah. No, that was so great. Just like, man, you talk about a slap of nostalgia. Like, I'm like, I haven't heard that in forever. So that was, I don't know how many people I think AEW fans are more,
they're older. They're WCW fans.
They're older. Yeah, exactly. So they are. All right. I just want to generally say that. So yeah, more of them would know the Superstation. So
yeah,
it's believable.
If this was NXT, they would be like, "What is a Superstation?"
Yeah, exactly. If it was NXT, they'd be like, "What?" But yeah, I had the primo or this episode, which was just the opening segment, really, and Moxley and his Death Riders, like as billed, sees the Superstation coming out and basically saying like anybody who challenges me is going to find out that is the last thing that they want to do as I stomp their head in, right? And then we get Orange Cassidy coming out, who is like the face of the good guys right now. We were building like a AEW, Survivor Series right now. It would definitely be Death Riders versus the conglomeration, and like add 1 or 2 more, but Orange Cassidy coming out and, like I said, taking things seriously and giving a serious promo, not just yes or no, but laying things out and reminding Moxley he beat him before, and that was for the International Championship. So you're not infallible, you're not God, all this stuff. And just this whole segment, even the part where, because he sets up that next week he's gonna be facing Wheeler Yuta. He challenges Wheeler Yuta because he's the pawn who will allow him to take the king, the pawn that betrayed Daniel Bryan. And there's a part where, you know, the camera's like closed up on Wheeler Yuta and Claudio outside the ring, and you can see Wheeler, you can hear him, he's like, I'm nobody's pawn. Oh yeah, pawn? I'm nobody's pawn. And then Claudio just says, shut the hell up. And Wheeler shuts up. I was just like, oh yeah, I'm loving this. This poor kid has Stockholm syndrome. Like, they are beating his ass. Like, they're just putting that over so well. And that's like that's the underlying subtext, you know, of this whole right now, of the Death Riders and like Moxley and everything taking over AEW. So I'm fucking with it. Eventually, Darby Allin, the Death Riders make their exit from the promo. Darby Allin starts the brawl, and the Death Riders make their exit. Claudio, in the end, just looking like a fucking, like, the Swiss Superman that he is. He just has every bit of it. Does he age at all? We've been watching Claudio for like 12, at least 10, 12 years. That man runs, that was at least like, 50 yards? Probably 50 yards. He runs with him, like, in this bear hug into the steel, like, garage, Darby Allin, that is. Doesn't put him down, just lowers him into the giant swing. 1, 2, smack his head back into the garage, and then just runs off into the truck. I'm like, what the fuck? And then the cherry on top, like I said, with Wheeler Yuta. Claudio gets in the car. They're like, all right, pull off. Wheeler literally dives into the fucking truck at the very last second because they don't give a fuck about Wheeler Yuta in this faction. So that was the primo from AEW. It was great.
All right.
I know I just said what it was, but...
No, that's great. I mean, again, I appreciate the context. Like, I did watch it, and I think, I don't have this right now in my Notion doc, but as I was thinking about it, I'm like, I did like a lot of stuff from here. I probably have it at mid-rising. Just because I'm still waiting for the purpose of the Death Riders. I guess it still feels like we're treading a little bit onto, like, is this the biggest thing that you're here for? Is Orange Cassidy and Wheeler Yuta? That's where I'm a little, but I think when I see them come out and do their thing, it is definitely primo. I guess it's more so the motivation is still fuzzy for me, but whenever they come out and they do their thing and they start whipping ass, and I'm like, yeah, this is just as good as Bronson Reed destroying somebody on Raw. So for that, I'd put the destruction as primo, and just even the segment I probably would put at primo, but as far as it still fits into the relation of, like, what are you guys here for? You keep saying it's not your company. This is different. I'm like, is it? Did you really take over the Superstation?
Well, yeah, like, it's funny because they really got ran off from the Superstation. Yeah. And that's what happened. They made their great escape early in the show.
So that's where if I had to average it out, it's probably mid-rising.
Yeah. Okay, I like it. Let's get your first mid.
Yeah. Chris Statlander putting Mercedes and was it Carmen Petrovic? Not Carmen Petrovic. Camille. Yeah. Through the wall. I have this in mid-rising because I like the segment. I like how it ended. The thing that kind of bugs me, just kind of like sticks in the back of my mind. I'm like, this happened in a hallway.
Yeah.
Where are there thinly built walls in a hallway?
That's what took me out of it, and that's why it's not like, on the Notion doc for me. If this was in like an actual room, I was like, that would make sense. But I'm like, I don't understand. And I don't put too much fault in it. That's just more of just like how my mind works. I'm like, where is there a thin wall like that in a hallway? Yeah.
Like, that's what threw me off. If this was happening in like the actual locker room, fine. Like, you could say that we built this room here, whatever it may be. But I'm like, you're literally walking down a hallway.
And it's just like nothing.
Yeah. And then there's this paper mache wall in this hallway? Nah. That threw me off. But that's the small thing. I did like the look of her putting the Mercedes and Camille through the wall. So it just threw me off that it happened in a hallway because I'm like, I just can't I can't suspend my disbelief enough to be like, there's a wall, there's a section within in the stadium where you're walking down to go to other places in the stadium where there's a false wall that you could just literally just put somebody through at any moment. No, that's supposed to be cement.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I don't know where you get
that's
this
just
false
silly.
wall like that. So that I
That
thought
was
that
also
was
like, oh, sorry, go ahead.
no, that was done. That was done.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say, because also, where do you get, like, granted she ran, but I was like, where do you get the momentum in this narrow ass hallway to put her through
Mm-hmm.
this wall? Because like you said, it's supposed to be cement. So like seeing them go through it, and obviously how out of place it was, like once the impact happens, that completely took me out of it. And I
Yeah,
was like, okay, nah. Which is why I didn't have it on here. But
I get it.
anyway,
It's it barely made mids. It's probably more deserving of shake, but I'll give it mids because I'm like, all right, like it was a cool spot. You just did it in a weird place.
yeah, yeah.
It's better. It was better than Chris Jericho driving Samoa Joe through a paper mache wall on a forklift.
Oh, my forklift, yeah, yeah, better than that for sure.
Where the forklift went through the wall first.
First, exactly, because it's the fork end, like. But anyway, we actually agree on this. I have this. I'm sure this is probably arrow pointing up for you, I guess. Takeshita over Adam Cole.
Mhm.
I like him picking up the win with the Dynamite Diamond Ring, and then on commentary putting it over like the history of the, not the history of the ring, but like the ownership, which was obviously MJF had won it in tournament like three, or it was, I think it was definitely at least twice. It might have been three times in a row, but two times in a row he won that tournament, which lets you keep the ring, and it just became part of his gimmick. After he left, he gave it to Don Callis, and then Don Callis gave it to Takeshita. So that was the ownership chain that I did not realize that took place. But I was like, oh, okay. So at least that explains it. But it was cool to see Adam Cole back in the ring. I thought their chemistry was pretty good. Takeshita is definitely like one of my favorite wrestlers in the world right now. He's so fucking good. Like there's, I forget what it was. The first time Adam Cole goes for the Panama Sunrise, his jumping Canadian destroyer, Takeshita catches him, flips him into a package tombstone, or it used to be, Chris Statlander's old finisher. She called it the Big Bang. Picks him up from that into a wheelbarrow suplex and just throws him across the ring. I was just like, Jesus Christ, man. I fucking love this. Like, because I remember playing, WWE Raw and stuff on PS2, or like SmackDown versus Raw and stuff. And like, you can chain those like super intricate, like hammerlock facebuster into a pile driver type. You can chain those moves together. So like, just seeing them in real life, that's like the shit that gets me. Like, and those are power moves on top of that.
Yeah.
So I think it was also a sense of like, Adam Cole looked great in this match, and it was almost because he's so small, it still felt like Jade and what do we keep saying? Jade and like Kairi Sane.
Kairi Sane, yeah.
Yeah. Where it's like he still felt unlocked completely to me. So it was great. And pick up the win in a dirty way. Might as well. Fuck it.
Yeah. I have this at Mid Rising, mostly because I like the implications that come out of this with Adam Cole losing, because isn't he on like a kind of pathway to face MJF at Full Gear? And like he has to like win a certain, there's like something about like him picking up these wins that play into effect
Ooh.
what happens with his match between him and MJF. Let me look that up real quick. But I remember hearing that like there's something that like it has some type of implications on this. And so I think the thought is that you think Adam Cole is just going to be on the straight line heater. I think he has to win like 3 matches or some shit like that. You think that he's going to be on this straight kind of pathway to MJF, and like these matches that he has leading up to MJF are just going to be like, yeah, he's going to face adversity, but he's also going to just give you like 5-star like ring work classics and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
so it's just like you're getting this like, okay, yeah, Adam Cole's coming back from injury, whatever, and he's looking really good. He's looking like he's on a heater. And so like you're kind of building up that anticipation for that
Yeah.
MJF and Moxley Adam Cole match. And to see him take a loss here, even if it's by underhanded tactics, it's like, hey, it ain't gonna be easy.
Exactly. What you think
So
MJF is gonna do when you win that
yeah.
match?
So that's where I'm a little bit more intrigued on this. Is like, okay, like it's not just a straight shot for Adam Cole to reach MJF. There's some adversity that he has to work through. And so
Yeah.
I like that he took this loss, but it just adds a little bit more stakes to when we get to MJF Adam Cole at Full Gear.
Yeah. Okay. My last mid that I had. Bless you. Bless you. My last mid was King of the Black Thrones qualifying for the 4-way tag team title match, which I did not realize that this was happening at Full Gear, but they qualify. They beat FTR. The reason that it was in mids for me was, I mean, FTR is still great. Like, I mean, Hardy Boys, Dudley Boys, Young Bucks, whoever you want to name is like far as like great tag teams in history and their chemistry, and I think are just like irreplaceable. FTR is one of those. Like, I'm willing to see them at any point in time. And them putting over Kings of the Black Throne, and especially Brody King, who's like, the bigger guy between him and Malachi Black. He finishes this match just straight up like repeatedly giving lariats to Dax Harwood, the one with the mustache. Dax keeps kicking out over and over again. And then he's just like, you know what? Fuck this. Why am I fucking around? And just puts him in a standing sleeper, which, as big as he is, I mean, that just works for me. Like, he's like, his probably most intriguing matches up to this point have ended with him mostly like with Darby Allin. That's when everybody took notice of him. When he choked out Darby Allin in that I don't know, it was like a #1 contendership battle royal, and he chokes him out over the top rope and just lets him go.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't expect it honestly, as the match is happening, I'm like, well, Kings of the Black Throne, like, we're already like, Malachi was just in like, is he actually retiring? That was happening like, last week just with the match and stuff. Is like, is he happy and stuff? So I didn't have them winning. So I thought it was a not just surprising win, but surprising finish too. So that's why it's in my mid rising.
Okay. I don't have much to add to that. We can get into Shake. I don't have much Shake. And just to give you a heads up, my mic is coming through my headphones rather than this microphone because it got disconnected while we were talking, and then when I try to fix it, it was like, sorry, you can't switch microphones while you're recording. And I'm like, well, that's dumb.
Yeah. All right.
So I'll put this microphone away and just kind of talk to you straight from my headphones.
All right. Yeah, don't matter to me, man. But yeah, my Shake, I'll keep it quick. We was wonder where Dr. Britt Baker was. She returned. I guess this is probably, the end of that suspension that I was talking about, but she gets the win over Penelope Ford. Just an update from her. She's back. Kyle Fletcher challenges Will Ospreay at Full Gear, which we knew that this was coming. This is the feud that's been being built up to this point, so not surprising there. Julia Hart, who I feel like is one of my like underdog favorites of AEW, because she's also one of those not day one, but might as well be, like, where she started on AEW Dark, on the YouTube, just like the Acclaimed, just like them. But yeah, she used to be a cheerleader gimmick and all this stuff, and I really like this vignette of her like waking up from like this nightmare, or it's almost like she's in a Scream like kind of horror movie scene, and Brody King calls her and he says, "It's time to wake up, Julia. It's time to come home." And then the phone is disconnected. Like, it's an old school, like, nobody has like a corded phone anymore. That was another thing I thought was funny, because it was like, a classic horn phone, like from the
Yeah.
80s or 90s. And I'm like, Julia Hart would not have that at her bedside. But you get it, that's for like a horror aesthetic. So
Yeah.
but yeah, the cord was cut. So and she like wakes up and like, wanders into like the bathroom and starts screaming in the mirror, and like you get flashes of her back, as part of like Varsity Blues when she was a cheerleader, and flashes of her as, when she's still part of House of Black, and when she won TBS championship and all that stuff. So I'm excited that she's coming back, just because I like me some Julia Hart, and she's one of those fan favorites where I think it's like, because she is like Thea Hale or even Roxanne Perez, where it's like, she's been here since she's like 19 or like
Yeah.
18 and a half or some shit like that. So it's just like, to see how far she came already, just even winning the TBS championship was like a huge thing. So now that she's coming back, I'm like really happy to see it. And lastly, I really enjoyed the interview, the close up with Renee Paquette when she interviewed the Hurt Syndicate. Did you watch that? I mean, it's not a segment; it's a YouTube thing. So,
No,
but it
I
was
did
like
not see
15
that.
minutes. Oh, okay, but right? They cross, shoot and kayfabe a lot. They're like on that line, but it was cool because they were talking about how, just like they said in the introductions, like as they introduced like Hurt Syndicate in the ring, and like MVP is just like, Shelton is, a two-time, NCAA, champion. Like he is the first reason that like, or Bobby was like, this is Bobby speaking. And he was like, he was like one of the first reasons I wanted to come to or not WWE, but start wrestling, professional wrestling and stuff. So, and it was just cool to see them like be endearing and stuff like that. And basically, MVP says that their mission statement is like, we're here to make money, hurt people, and like when they got over to shoot, because it was like an extended conversation, he's like, mentor, the younger kids and stuff like that. But it was cool. So I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I'll give him props for that. I will say that I didn't see that segment, but I'll add the what was it, Swerve versus Leo Rush match.
Yeah.
I'll add that to my shake. I mean, obviously, I think it's expected that Swerve was going to win that match. The reason I wouldn't really put it at mids is just more so, this is not a shot at them. It's more so just generally in wrestling, something that just doesn't work for me. The whole match, I'm matching a move, you matching a move, and then we end in this superhero pose shit. Y'all can keep that. Y'all can keep that. That is just gymnastics. And I'm like, that's not real to me. Like, I can't suspend my disbelief to like think that's cool.
Yeah.
But it works for people. It works for some people. It just doesn't work for me.
I got you. I'm not one of those people. It works for. I mean, I agree. Like at the ridiculousness of posing, I obviously understand that. It's just.
I like the acrobatics, but again, like that's where we get into this thing where it's like, are we watching a wrestling match, or are we just watching two niggas just get their shit off? Like that doesn't seem real to me. Even when it happens with Ricochet and Will Ospreay, I don't care for it. Yeah. And it's not an AEW thing. They could do that shit in WWE. I don't care for it. Unless like you get like really two good technicians. Like, when like Kurt Angle and, Benoit.
Daniel Bryan or something. Or Benoit.
Like, and like they're getting into these like ring technical matches.
The amateur wrestling.
Yeah. That works for me. But when it's just like, oh, I'm going to flip here, you're going to flip here, and then we do a thing where we flip, and then all of a sudden it looks like goddamn Naruto, and I'm like, keep that shit. Y'all can keep that shit.
Like, no, I just pictured me, like when you said that, I just pictured them like jumping through the trees, like they do in Naruto, just flying and shit. But yeah,
but y'all can keep that shit. Anything else from the coffee shop?
Nope.
All right, let's get to the Book of Wrestling. A light one this week. Still haven't put the music in, so. All right. We need to get Pete and Bass to make a remix for us.
Oh yeah, right. Oh no, that'll be hard.
Let's start off with yours. I have one to add that's not on the doc yet, so I'll let you go through
Okay.
the ones that you added.
Yeah, the one that I cared about the most today, 2003. So 21 years ago, we get the end of the American Badass, The Undertaker. WWE Survivor Series, of course, a whole lot is going to be Survivor Series because it's that time of year, but
Yeah.
was held in Dallas, Texas. On the show, Kane beat Shane McMahon in an ambulance match before interfering with the Buried Alive match between Vince McMahon and The Undertaker, helping Vince to the victory. This pay-per-view would be the last time that Undertaker is seen in his American Badass gimmick, as some people definitely grievously remember as like, just biker taker. Did that work for you? I mean, granted, we were still growing
It
up,
worked.
so it
It
worked for
worked.
me personally.
Yeah.
Like, because that's when he started doing the last ride, like the elevated power bomb and shit.
And the
I
best
like
part
it, but
is like he was like, "I'll make you famous."
yeah, that was a good catchphrase for
When
him
he
at that
tell
point
you
in
like, "I'll
time.
make
Yeah,
you famous," and it's like
famous. Yeah,
there's a double entendre, because it's like, yeah, I'll make you famous by whooping your ass, but it's like, yo, you in the ring with the Undertaker,
yeah,
and that's all I do.
yeah,
And so like, and so it worked. My favorite match during this era for Undertaker will always be, not even just for Undertaker, just in general, is Jeff Hardy versus the Undertaker for the World Heavyweight Championship in a ladder match on Raw.
mm-hmm.
And I remember watching that match live with my mom, and like we both at a certain point in that match was like, "Yo, Jeff is gonna win this.
Yeah.
Jeff is gonna
This is
win
his
this."
match. This is his match.
Yeah, and then obviously Jeff didn't win it. The best part is that like Undertaker, because he's such a heel in this moment, like Jeff grabs the mic and is like, "Undertaker, you're not better than me. I'll beat you." Blah blah blah. He's still talking this shit after everything. Undertaker comes back in the ring, picks the kid up, looks like he's about to whip his ass one more time, and he was like, "You got heart, kid. You got heart." And I was like, "Oh my god, let's go!"
He was about to choke slam him again. Like, he was like, you all right.
I was like,
But then,
let's go. So I fucks with the American
American
Badass. But I will also say, WrestleMania 20 was the first WrestleMania that I actually like watched. WrestleMania 17 is the first one I watched live, but I watched that on a scrambled pay-per-view channel.
Yeah.
So WrestleMania 20 was like the first pay-per-view. WrestleMania was the first WrestleMania that I actually watched live that I could see.
Yeah.
I was so hyped to see Undertaker come back as a dead man. Like, because when I started watching wrestling, Undertaker had just left. He had just left WWE for injury, like around August of '99, right?
Yeah.
Or like August '99, Undertaker had just left, and they were like, "Oh, is he gonna retire? Is he gonna be gone?" And so it didn't take him. It took him about like at least. He didn't come back until May of 2000 for Judgment Day. And when he came back with the American Badass gimmick. So like during my prime years of watching wrestling live, I mostly grew up with the Badass, even though like my childhood, like all the ice cream bars and shit like that, it was all Dead Man. So it was a weird time that like growing up, I got more Badass, but I always loved the Dead Man. So shout out to Undertaker. I mean, Undertaker the wrestler, fuck Mark Calloway.
All right. I don't think that's your segue into yours. You got your book of wrestling?
Yeah, my book of wrestling is a bit of a somber one. I gotta give a shout out to my either 1A, 1B, pick the day, favorite wrestler of all time, Eddie Guerrero.
Yeah.
November 13, 2005, passed away. Sad day, man. I remember watching that episode and just being like, yo, like, what? Like, Eddie's gone? Sad day. Again, Eddie Guerrero is one of my all-time favorites. He's up there with The Rock. Like I said, it's like a Jordan and a Kobe for me. It's like, depending on the day, how I feel, you could flip either one of them. Like Eddie is Eddie is so good.
Yeah.
So good. And then I give Eddie the advantage over The Rock because he's a way better wrestler than Eddie. Hey, Eddie's way better wrestler than The Rock.
Than The Rock, yeah.
But it's still tough, man. It's still tough. But Eddie Guerrero, I'm glad that there's a lot of the spirit for you still lives on, whether it be Rey Mysterio, Dominic, anybody from Legado del Fantasma and things that LWO, even Humberto and Angel Garza. You know what I'm saying? Like the fact that like Eddie's spirit still lives on, even in Batista. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody loves Eddie.
But mostly in his son Dominic. Obviously, that's who's carrying his
torch.
Oh
yeah, it's definitely his son Dominic. Yeah,
like he's so proud of him. Like we know Eddie's proud of Dominic. So, my other Book of Wrestling entry, November 15th, 1998. Vince McMahon reenacting the Montreal Screwjob. Survivor Series. What do you know? Was held in St. Louis, Missouri, but didn't feature any traditional Survivor Series matches. Instead, the event played host to a deadly game tournament to crown the new WWF champion. Going into the event, the story depicted Mankind as Vince's chosen winner, as McMahon's gang of lackeys helped him through the rounds while seeming to attempt to put barriers in the way of The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin. It transpired that this is an elaborate ruse for The Rock, or as The Rock turned out to be McMahon's chosen champion and defeated Mankind with a sharpshooter in the main event as McMahon brazenly reenacted the Montreal Screwjob from 1 year prior. When looking back on the incredibly well-booked tournament, viewers could easily see that it was being set up for The Rock to win, but it was incredibly well hidden in the booking until the reveal of the end of the final match. So yeah, obviously, this match is free on YouTube. You can watch it right now. And this article or that website, captures it perfectly because Mankind's not in that sharpshooter longer than 5 seconds. He's not. And he's like right next to the rope. He didn't even have a chance. And he's just like, call for it. And it's like, this son of a bitch, Mr. McMahon. Mr. McMahon. And this was
it's
corporate,
honestly
now corporate.
It worked out.
Yeah.
It's the last line of this. It's like I said, it's not only an incredibly well booked tournament, it was an incredibly well booked storyline. I'm glad that you added this here because did you know about this before this? Were you aware of this?
I was aware of this match, not the tournament and all necessary storyline leading up to.
Yeah, I was aware of this moment. I forget the reason why there was no champion at the time. I think maybe Stone Cold got hurt or something like that. I forget why there was no champion at the time. But the storyline for Mankind / Mick Foley is like he just wanted to be like McMahon's lackey. Not a lackey, but like he almost almost felt like a son to McMahon. Yeah. But like McMahon would never acknowledge him. That's when you get him visiting him in the hospital, and stuff like that, and this all that nature. And like McMahon would always be like dogging Mankind, but he'd always just be like, "All right, here's your time to prove it to me." This, that, and the third. So like, it almost seemed like when you were it almost seemed like you were watching this thing. You're just like, "Oh, okay, like maybe Mankind might win it." Like it seems like he's finally into the fold of McMahon. But McMahon's whole thing was that like he wasn't the champion that McMahon wanted as a champion.
Of course.
At the same time, The Rock is on his Nation of Domination phase right now, right? He's kind of coming out of it where he's kind of taken over the nation, and it's him, D'Lo, Godfather, and Mark Henry, and they've kind of, exiled Farouk from the situation. But everybody's starting to like The Rock at this point. And you're not. It's kind of like the situation where it's like Rhea or someone, right? It's like, technically, you should not be rooting for this person. Technically, they're a heel, but they're so over right now.
They're over. They're over. Yeah.
He's becoming a face. Like, this is at the point where, like, The Rock is getting people to say his catchphrases and shit like that. And, like, he's basically on the cusp of turning face. This kept him as a heel.
Yeah.
And nobody expected it, that, like, he would be in the one. But if you watch even the first match, because I think the first match was supposed to be like him versus I forget who, but Boss Man was supposed to interfere, but Boss Man missed his timing. And like they had to like come up with like some shenanigans. But it's an incredibly well booked match. Great ending, especially for the callback to last year's Survivor Series. It kept Rock as a heel, made him the corporate champion until the point where it was just like, nah, we can't not cheer for this guy.
Yeah.
That it worked out well. So shout out. I'm happy that you added this to the doc. I wasn't sure if you knew about
I knew that
this.
I knew that this was corporate Rock, you know, beginning
this
of
is the start
Rock.
of corporate Rock.
So,
yeah.
Yeah. I knew that, but not the whole storyline. But
definitely, I would definitely take it. I think all you need to start watching is from SummerSlam.
Okay.
If you watch from SummerSlam to Survivor Series, you'll pretty much pick it up. Maybe even like after, I would have to say maybe October is probably the latest you could probably watch it, because there's even a storyline with Shane being against his father.
Gotcha.
Because Shane was, I believe, the special guest referee in that match. So, interesting, well-booked storyline. I definitely recommend people check out.
Okay.
Let's move on to the boutique. Friday Night SmackDown, another pre-tape show. I do not have a primo on here. Not a primo, top shelf. So we can coin flip. You could start. I said coin flip. You can start, but go ahead.
Yeah, we got the same one though, the same primo. So Bronson Reed being revealed as a new Bloodlines 5th member was, as I said before, not spoiled for me. So I was happy, or not necessarily. Actually, let me edit that. He's definitely impactful and like deserves to be at a main event spot like this. So it makes sense for me, like keeping it within the roster. You know what I mean? It's not like a Hikuleo or not, like one of their other cousins. So
Lance just signed to WWE.
Yeah, I know that, but I also wasn't necessarily completely. Oh, no, I'll just say that I was 10% let down. It wasn't like a cousin or something. I'll just say that. But not even 10%. I was like 4% upset. 4% that it wasn't another cousin, because Bronson Reed absolutely deserves to be here. And obviously, like the finishing touches of this, Bronson Reed, like Roman Reigns feeling a tsunami, like that's what I was like, oh shit, yeah. And
that's why this is in primo for me.
Absolutely. And not to mention, to call back what I was mentioning earlier, when you have certain visuals of guys, when there was that visual of just Bronson Reed and Jacob Fatu standing next to each other, I just like, that was
get that a tag team.
Just like, that's a tag team. That is a destructive tag team. So I'm glad we psychic right here, because I saw that and I was just like, hey,
that is literally on my reason why this is a primo. Those two things that you said at the end.
Yeah.
Bronson Reed and Jacob destroying Roman Reigns the way they did makes us a primo. Because like you said, you came in not knowing who the 5th member was. It wasn't as confirmed, but it was pretty much like a good rumor that you could probably bet on that Bronson and Seth were going to be the 5th members. And we still don't know technically the 5th member of, the OG bloodline, but it's obviously looking like it's going to be Seth. But I think if you take everything out between the last 10 minutes of the show, I would have this at mid, just for the fact that I knew it was happening. And I'm just like unsure how, again, are we, same thing I said back at Raw, are we just kind of forcing these two guys into a storyline that really doesn't make sense? I'm still curious to see what Bronson Reed's motivation is to be a part of this, but I ain't gonna lie that him taking out Roman Reigns looked spectacular.
That's what I was gonna say. I'm pretty sure, because his whole ethos so far has still been like, I deserve to be in the main event if I'll make a name for myself, which is why he tsunami'd the shit out of Seth. So, like I said, Roman's never felt a tsunami. Like, so feeling
and
that, he could just be like, I was gonna say he could just be making another enemy. Like he doesn't give a fuck. He's just like, you want to feel this tsunami, Roman? Like
Yeah.
I need to be in this main event.
That's how you
I
thrust
just think that's
yourself.
what it
That's
is.
why I give it credit, like where I'm like, that's how you at least you thrust yourself into the main event conversation. Everybody want to talk about I deserve to be champion. Bronson Reed is on literally the best big man run probably of all time in WWE as far as like building up credibility.
I come up, yeah.
This man, ever since he told Adam Pearce, I'm gonna make a name for myself and just started taking out motherfuckers. Yeah. When the tsunami gets rolling, the tsunami gets rolling. And Roman Reigns, A+ acting.
And he only took one. He took one.
Because he took the what's the joint that Jacob does when he jumps on the ropes and then
the moonsault. Yeah, the triple moonsault.
He took the moonsault, and then Bronson Reed took him to the other side and then hit him with the tsunami. And then the look on Roman's face.
Yeah.
When he's just like he looked like a cartoon character, just like the whole soul was just sucked out of him. And he was just like, yo, what just happened to me?
For sure.
That I was like, yo, I'm here for this. I'm here for a Bronson Reed and Jacob Fatu tag team. I'm here for all of that.
Oh my God.
I'm here for all of that.
There's no reason if those two ever go, like, I mean, Bronson's already solo. If Jacob breaks off from the bloodline or whenever Bloodline breaks off and he's like, hey, I need a road dog, like, bruh.
I'm here for that.
I'm here for that, yeah. Man.
And I guess I'll add this to my other, would be a separate primo, I guess. Yeah, primo. The end of the show. When like it was, Roman was like, make the call. And then
Jimmy was saying that,
he's like, make the call or something like that. And then Roman makes a call and he's like, call wise man. And then you get the number you have dialed is no longer in service.
Yeah,
I swear, like I thought that was really good because I'm curious to see what happens with that. But it also just reminded me of like, that meme of like Family Matters with like either Carl or Eddie when like something dramatic happens. And it's like has that little like let me find it. But it has like that little dramatic music where before they go to commercial.
Oh yeah, that music. It's just like shit. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
That's how it felt like, especially with the like executive producer Paul Levesque. I was like, okay.
Exactly. With that part, that was because this. I'm glad you I guess pointed specifically out on this because this was halfway my champion of the week, and I was gonna call this like somehow like the Marvel Sacred Timeline Award for continuity because that phone been broke. That phone broke 7 months ago when Solo. Not only when Solo was taking over Bloodline and Roman was nowhere to be found, and he put Jimmy through the announcer's table before they even turned on Paul Heyman. He was calling Roman in the ring, and this is at the end of SmackDown. Jimmy is on the ground because he just got power bombed and Samoan spiked, and he says, "Call Roman Reigns," and then Solo turns to him, smacks it out of his hand, and stomps on it twice. That's the phone. I'm like, that phone call.
What's the phone got to do with the number though? The phone and the number ain't the same thing.
That's continuity. His phone is broke. His phone has been broke for 7 months. We haven't seen Paul Heyman in 7 months.
Like since he went through. Phone number. The phone number is still active. The phone ain't got to do nothing. The phone can be broken. You still can get a phone call.
Bruh, but that goes to your point about 90s sitcom stuff. He broke his phone 7 months ago, bruh. He broke his phone. He ain't get a new phone yet. Like he got the same number. He ain't get the new.
He's an old guy. He's an old guy.
Yes, he's an old guy. And the last time we saw him, he was getting triple power bomb through announcer tables. That's what happened. He got Samoan spike and triple. He's probably still in a coma. Like honestly, kayfabe. Come on now.
Shout out to Paul. You're backstage. We know it.
For sure.
I think I heard on Rosenberg's podcast. They called Damian Priest during the podcast just to tell him like, yo, that promo that you cut against Gunther on Monday, I think it's one of your best, and then that you've done. And he was like, yeah, man, like I felt really good about it, this, that, and the third. I felt like I was like, being myself, and then Paul, I think when he said Paul, I think he was talking about Heyman, but it could have been, now I'm thinking about it, it could have been Levesque. It could have
Triple
been
H, yeah.
Levesque. But I assumed it was I when it first started, I thought he meant Heyman. That
Yeah.
told him like he gave him advice and stuff like that. So Paul's backstage. He's backstage. Anything else that
Oh
we
yeah.
want to talk about regards to Bloodline, Bronson Reed, Seth?
Nah, covered it all. Like the biggest part of that is, like we said, just the visual of that tag team. That's all I wanted to say.
Yeah.
But my other primo was Nia putting her title on the line against her cousin Naomi, not in
Yeah.
kayfabe but real life. And this was like the best. Oh man, you talking about pulling for Naomi, dog? You
Yeah.
talking about like hitting the split leg moonsault, all that. I'm like, come on,
Yeah.
this is it. Like I was with the crowd. Like this was the best match like on the whole show. That's why it's primo. Like, but
I
you
really
know, we
like the
got
match
Tiffany
itself.
Stratton with money in the bank. So I like there was a part of it where I thought Tiffany might come down, but I was like, this isn't, this is, like you said, pre-taped, yada yada. But literally as I'm watching the match, because nothing is spoiled for me, I'm just like, oh shit, look at this. This is like she had the momentum. But yeah, it was a great match.
I didn't have anything. I will say I didn't have much spoiled for me as far as the match pertains. Obviously, I think we both probably believed that Nia was going to retain, but you know, there's a little bit of maybe Naomi might be able to pull that out. I will say there's two things that made me feel that it wouldn't work out for Naomi, other than just like being a smart fan. I'll start with for what I saw on TV when they were doing the introductions for Naomi and Nia in the ring, and like they went through Naomi, they had the camera on her and she was cheesing big as hell, and I'm like, oh, that's a smile of a you're not winning this.
Yeah.
That's a smile of like you're not winning this. Second, this was more so on Twitter. I don't know if it was on TV or I say Blue Sky when I saw this. I saw the bracket for the women's U.S. Championship tournament. She's in a match with I want to say Candice LeRae, not Candice. Candice LeRae was with Bailey. She's in a match for the U.S. Championship.
Yeah, they're all triple threat matches. Yeah.
So you could pretty much be like, okay, you're not winning the title because you win this U.S. Championship match. And then Bailey before, she's like, oh, maybe you might be, Naomi 2 belts. All right, that's not happening tonight. Like, sorry. Yeah. So there was a little bit of spoil, but the match itself, I thought it was great. I'm a little confused with Candice LeRae seeming to be associated with Nia, but I guess that's what happens when you lose Indy. Like you gotta pivot her, but it seems like Nia is building a little council now with Tiffany and Candice LeRae.
Okay, I didn't catch that Candice. Like, there's a segment with Candice and Nia, so that makes sense.
I might have missed that segment, but like she came out, and then like even after the match was over, like Candice came into the ring and was like, "Oh, Nia, are you okay?" Like it was like both Tiffany and Candice, both kind of like,
oh, okay,
comforting Nia after the match. And so I'm like, okay, I get it.
You gotta pivot.
Yeah, you gotta pivot Candice because she just lost her tag team partner in real life. So not surprised. It was just more of like, I didn't see this coming. So I have the match as mid rising just for the fact that a little bit predictable, but the match that outside circumstances break it down to a mid rising, but the match itself I probably put in primo.
Yeah. Let's see. We agree also in mids with I call it Ciampa causing the DQ and the Street Profits for the tag team titles against Motor City Machine Guns.
Yeah.
How'd you like that?
Yeah, I mean, I think like I said last week, when the Profits cut that promo about wanting to make it be different and like we taking this as like this is our time and whatever or whatnot. I'm like, I gave him the That's So Raven award because I knew y'all weren't going to win this. It didn't play out the way I expected. I'm not sure where Ciampa got this animosity towards the Street Profits, even though I've heard Michael Cole trying to sell it, saying like they're tight about the Street Profits skipping the line and this, that, and the third. I'm like, okay. The Ciampa side of it, as I sit with it, it feels like we might be getting Goldie Ciampa back.
which I love. Yeah, the Blackheart. Yeah, the Blackheart Champa.
Yeah, and if we get that, like I'm all for it. I'm more intrigued about the Street Profits teasing a heel turn because after that, like MCMG tried to like dap up with the Street Profits, and Dawkins was not having that joint, and so I hope it ain't just them just being hurt over their feelings, and more so a pivot, a change in character attitude than them just feeling, oh, we back at square
Frustrated in
one
the moment.
again.
Yeah, just being
Yeah.
frustrated. Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. And yeah, exactly like you said, the biggest thing for me was like I watched that, NXT Gold era Goldie, the Blackheart, that
Yeah.
whole Gargano and Ciampa rivalry, like when they broke up the first time. And I'm like, are we getting DIY breakup again? Like, because you could run that back, but that's intriguing. And yeah, like you said, the fact that Dawkins actually stuck Alex Shelley and they
Mm-hmm.
were just like, hey, we have nothing to do with it. I'm like, okay. So also I thought about calling this like a double turn tag team, like
Yeah.
part of the mid part of the show. Very interesting. Um, yeah.
You want me to pick
My
up on a mid, or do you want to go with your next mid?
I'll go with mine.
Okay.
Uh, Cody. Cody and GM Nick Aldis having it out in the ring about Kevin Owens. I thought about putting it in Primo, but I think that this was just like the best Cody promo in a while. And I just also took myself, I'm like, Cody can just do this whenever. And it's like, this is just his
Mm-hmm.
best one for this rivalry right now. So I think if this was another wrestler, I would have put it in Primo, but just because Cody can do this, that's why I'm like, it's just in mid. And he's just doing his job as champion. So that's me, I guess, putting a more higher expectations on, champions and like, or especially if you're proven to be like awesome with them. Like, you don't want to beat a dead horse with like, your character, or your, especially being a babyface. He's a white meat babyface. I don't think you
Mm-hmm.
want to like beat it all the way down, but this is like the best one so far where he is crossing that line into like badass because he's like, oh, what do I got to do? What do I got to do? You keep protecting him. You want me to go to his house? You want me to knock on his door? You want me to beat his ass in his front yard? And I was like, okay, Cody. I was like, I like this. I like this writing right here for Cody. So that's why it's in my mids.
It was cool. It was all right.
Yeah.
I just like I don't know. I'm just kind of in the middle with this whole storyline.
Mhm.
Like I think Kevin brings intrigue to it. The Cody, he's just such a white meat baby face. It's so generic, and I'm like, man, I don't know. It was cool. I thought it was interesting. Cody mentioned that Kevin Owens drives a Lamborghini. Yeah,
Yeah.
did you see that video that came out this week?
Yeah, I did watch it. I did watch it. I remember him saying that.
But there was like a video of Kevin Owens hanging out with Randy Orton, showing off his Lamborghini.
Oh no, I didn't see that. I didn't know
Yeah,
that was
yeah,
a.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Randy Orton, and Kevin Owens. Like Kevin Owens, like it's just somewhere outside, just hanging out, and like Kevin's got like a Lamborghini, and then Randy's like, "Oh man, blah 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 blah." And then, like they're just
Oh,
having a nice cordial conversation, and Randy's like, "Oh yeah, blah blah blah," and then they still walk over to Randy's car and shit like that. So it's like, aren't y'all niggas fighting?
yeah, that's immediately came to my head because I'm like, that doesn't make sense. But all right.
But that's where I'm like, okay, like
Oh, you can't be on all the time. You can't be kayfabe. Like that's what the thing was. You had to be kayfabe 24/7 back in the day,
yeah.
in the Undertaker's day. So
The work is going to be good. I'm just the storyline just feels again. It's part of. I think I'm gonna blame it on the pre-tapes where it
yeah,
just feels like a lot of things. Like I don't know how we got here, other than the fact that we need to build story.
got you
So I don't have it anywhere. If anything, I probably had it in Shake.
for sure.
My last mid for the show. We've been asking. We've been wondering. Where is our guy? Shinsuke Nakamura. And Shinsuke Nakamura is officially back with a new vibe. where
Absolutely.
he switched up. He got a little face paint, looking like the
I don't know.
Crow or.
I gotta interrupt real quick because I don't know. Did you see? Did you read the whole Notion doc where this is my champion of the week?
Oh no, I didn't. I didn't.
Okay. Okay. So I'll just hold my thoughts for that because I'm gonna go.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I just
Go ahead.
I'm just my only thought is that hey, I'm glad that Shinsuke's back. I love the fact that he looks different. He's got a little bit of a vibe. I worry that he's just gonna lose to LA Knight and just be in the same spot. But
Yep.
I hope to be proven wrong.
Yep. Same here because Shinsuke is one of my fucking guys. I cape for Shinsuke. I will die on the hill of Shinsuke.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, the vibe was all the way there. I'll wait for our segment in just a bit, but him coming back and attacking LA Knight, I immediately was excited to see him. And you already I'm literally just walking in your footsteps in the snow, so nobody else follows me. But I'm afraid of him just returning just to lose. And the fact that he returns and attacks the United States champion, not the not the WWE champion, makes it that much more believable. But because I had to make sure, and I went back and to look at Shinsuke's career, and obviously he's held every single title in Japan. Here, he's held both mid-card titles twice, NXT title twice. Everything is 2 times for him, and that's it. So this is where I'm like, all right, because he's not right now. We know he ain't touching WWE championship. That's not happening. So how long do you think that storyline's going to go on? That's probably booked out at least a year and a half ahead of time right now. U.S. championship, a lot more believable. Not Carlito debuting and stuff, but at least one pay-per-view cycle, build. We know who Shinsuke is. He's a badass. And take out LA Knight, that's a lot more believable. So fingers crossed, I suppose, because they could be thinking LA Knight's already not cooked, but
the thing, and it's not so much LA Knight, it's more so WWE and what kind of narrative they're trying to get off. Who are LA Knight's contenders?
Yeah.
Black man, Carmelo Hayes. Spanish man, Mexican man, Andrade. Mm-hmm. You fought another Mexican this week. Mm-hmm. and Santos Escobar. Humberto, but Santos was there as well. Mm-hmm. You got a Japanese guy.
Yep.
And Shinsuke Nakamura. This guy is a white man from Maryland named LA
Best
Knight.
in the world.
And we just got out of an election cycle where the main subject matter is immigrants.
All right now. Don't be too real up here.
Went to Crown Jewel, beat a Mexican, beat a black man. This white man is not losing no goddamn U.S. title to a person of color, a minority.
You're too real right now. You're gonna get the FBI calling your phone in a second, Samson.
Hey, Triple H, prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. Who won the Crown Jewels? Liv Morgan, Cody Rhodes.
All right now.
Only people to retain, only people to win that wasn't person of color, that was people of color were Bianca and Jade. I'm just saying, WWE is definitely a right-leaning company. Just saying.
Well, I think we've known that for a while now, though.
I mean, it's easy to say that. It's easy to say that with Vince McMahon, but again, these are the same niggas that want to give Cody passes to the cookout, to this bullshit ass cookout. They want to give Triple H passes to this cookout. They think, oh, Shawn Michaels just looks at women of color's asses and hires them for WWE jobs. There's this whole notion that oh yeah, WWE is inclusive, and it's only inclusive because of green.
Yeah.
So again, the bigger narratives at play, I would not be surprised to be like, nah, we can't let this white man. America has spoken. They want to go backwards. And it's not this is not a shot at LA Knight. This is more a shot at booking and giving people chances. Because you can't tell me you can't put that title on Shinsuke and have him be an ambassador for Japan, or even Asuka.
Right.
Tell me Liv Morgan beats Asuka, and
Oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah, make me believe that. Yeah, that's one for your ass right there.
you
But
know what I'm saying? So
yeah, you ain't got I got love for the New Japan, all the Asians out there. We stay educated over here, but the last thing on SmackDown was, Bailey advancing in the women's US US championship tournament. I brought up the
yeah,
bracket real quick. So Bailey, she beat Candice LeRae and BFAB. We got
BFAB
Bianca,
getting some
Chelsea.
shine. She got intro music coming out. She looked good. It seemed like she might partner up with Michin at some point.
We got Bianca, Chelsea Green, and Blair Davenport.
I got Chelsea.
Yeah, I would say Chelsea too. Jade Cargill, Michin, and Piper Niven.
I got Michin.
Yeah, because
I can see
Jade
Piper.
and Bianca being busy.
I can see Piper, but I can see Piper and Chelsea each helping each other out in those other matches and getting them to the next match. But I'm gonna give it to Michin and Chelsea Green in those matches.
Yeah. Okay. And then lastly, Naomi, Tiffany Stratton, and Elektra Lopez.
Yeah, Naomi, I'm going.
Naomi, that's obvious. So.
And then I got Naomi over. I got Naomi over Michin. Bailey
and then
over
Chelsea Green and Bailey.
I got Bailey over Chelsea. And then I think this opens up the door for a Bailey heel turn.
Okay. And then we got Naomi and Chelsea Green in the finals
for
the US Championship.
I think Naomi wins.
Okay.
But after that, Bailey attacks her.
Yeah, I can see that.
I think there's going to be some dialogue that like Bailey, not probably intentionally, but she's going to be talking down to Naomi.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just going to like it's going to rub Naomi the wrong way. And then when Naomi actually beats her, Bailey's going to be some type of way and then attack her. And then we get full on heel Bailey again.
Yeah, that'd be nice. But yeah, that's it for SmackDown, right? You got anything else?
That was it. Nah, that's it for SmackDown for me. I do not have much. So we can move on to Saturday and our champions of the week.
Yep.
I spent all week trying to think of my champion of the week. Like at least not all week because the champion was easy. The title, I still TBD. It has probably something to do with like if I had to come up with something because I can't think of a reference right now. The reference would probably be like something along like Black Girl Magic, maybe. It took you long enough. About damn time. But it popped up on my feed on Monday. Ref Bay Daff WWE, also known as Daphne LaShawn. She's the black woman referee on the show.
Yep.
She said, "My first time officiating a Raw main event on television. 5 years working hard, never complaining, keeping a positive mindset. If you get anything from my journey, you can achieve anything that if you want to put in the work behind it, and that's on Ref Bay." And then it went on to say, first woman to officiate the main event of Raw. Had to look on point and hair and bun because I was standing on big business. So, hella surprising. I need to do the fact check, but I'm not going to deny her fact check. I'm not sure if it's her first time or just in general first time. I wouldn't be surprised, but if that's the first time a woman, period, has refereed a main event of Monday Night Raw, it is 2024, my guy.
I'm pretty sure I thought that happened in 2015 at least or something like that, but it's like, we checking at 2024.
We just heard 2 years ago that like Trish versus Becky Lynch was like the first time we had a women's cage match, or it was Trish Stratus' first cage match. That's what it was, I think.
Yeah.
Either way, it's just like, why are we hitting first with women in 2024? Never mind, I forgot who we elected. So,
yeah.
But shout out to Ref Bay, Daphne. That's big ups to be able to be in that position to referee. Not only just an all women's match because it was a tag team match, but just the fact, hey, you breaking barriers. So unbelievable that it took us this long to get to this point, but I'm glad we finally got to this point. But that is wild. That is a first time occurrence.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
shout out to Ref Bay. And I'm
Not to,
not disrespecting her. That's literally her
that's the
tag
hashtag.
on
That's the
her
hashtag.
hashtag
Yep.
on thing. It's Ref Bay.
All right. My champion of the week, as I mentioned before, it's Shinsuke Nakamura getting the Order 66 championship, looking like my favorite Sith, Anakin Skywalker, Darth Vader. When Order 66 goes down and he walks into the Jedi Temple, yo,
Yeah.
I was gonna name this the what the kid says. Master Skywalker, what are we going to do? I was about to name it that, but I was like, nah, was that just too? I don't know. Either way, because I immediately knew it was Shinsuke, but like with him rocking, his hair in the front and stuff, like
Yeah.
obviously he didn't have a hood, but if he had a hood, that's the only thing he was missing. Where I'm like, well, he said he had the red makeup and stuff. I'm like, okay, it's giving that like evil takeover aesthetic and shit, like uncontrollable, hitting them with a Kinshasa. And like I said, Shinsuke's my fucking guy too. And I was just saying, well, I don't know if this was like a month ago on episodes, but I was like, yo, checking my watch. Like, where's my guy Shinsuke? Oh, that's right. Not being utilized, being a ambassador for being an ambassador. And it's like, okay. Yeah, put the fucking strap on him. They're not going to do it for reasons of this country, as you explained before. I don't want to tear us down, but this is funny to me. And it's drippy, though. Like, I like the look. And
Yeah.
I like even.
You think we get a remix on the intro?
Ooh. Maybe. I wouldn't hold my breath, though.
You slow the BPMs? Do you slow the BPMs down?
Yeah, just make it more gothic sounding and shit, like dark and stuff. Yeah. Or they could just go back to him not using that chorus part, because that's what he did when he went heel the first time. It's the same song, but it's just like a different like verse or whatever farther along in the song. So he's probably just using that song again, I would guess. But yeah, that nigga looked like Anakin Skywalker head ass, like for sure. that's immediately what I thought. That's my champion.
I was like, I'm happy for Shinsuke to be back. I think like the same sentiment that we said earlier is just like, man, just don't come in here and then just be another body for LA Knight to go through.
Just to farm him for the season. It's like that's even more disrespectful. Like you said, Gunther just like,
and it's not so much LA Knight. It's more so it's like I like Shinsuke too much to be like you just a jobber.
Yeah, using his name as a jobber. That's what that is. Yeah, it's crazy. But that's it for me.
We done it. Episode 19. We in the books. Anything else we want to say before we head out?
We just want to tell the people to like, comment, subscribe on our YouTube. We got the clips coming out weekly. We got eventually TikTok. Those same clips will be going on TikTok, so you can follow us there at the Wrestling Re-Up. Instagram also. And send us an email.
Anything you looking forward to next week in regards to wrestling? I think next week we got Full Gear.
Full Gear for sure. That's number one, but I'm surprised I didn't remember to say this during it. But I know I don't have to run this by you, but I was thinking I get so deep into like the wrestling algorithm like throughout the week, because it's just like WWE and AEW that I'm like actually searching. But just because I'm searching, that other stuff comes up and I find myself watching obviously like way different companies. So we got a new segment coming. Indie match of the week for sure. That's going to be coming. We got to go back in history, or hopefully we could just keep this current. But I would just find myself watching so much stuff. I'll just talk about it. Whatever.
All right, we'll add that to the Thursday docket, and we got a segment. That's a segment for you to enlighten us on the indie matchup not even matchup. It's just the indie match of the week, and it doesn't even have to be current. I think it could just be like, yo.
I'm going to do the work for you that you're not doing, Samson.
Thank you. Please.
Because you know WWE history way better than I do, too. So,
yeah.
I mean.
So,
we work as a team. We work as a team. So, I'll help you, and I help you with the names of wrestling moves and shit. You know what I'm saying? And you can remind me of all the storylines and stuff. So,
I'll try my best. All right. That's it. That's another episode. We are done. We are out. We'll catch y'all next week. Talk about Full Gear give our predictions. Hopefully, I can get back onto the winning side of the record after coming off a bye week
Fingers
and a
crossed you
tie.
won't. Fingers crossed you
Hey,
won't.
you got enough lead. You got enough lead, and we'll see if Seth Rollins officially becomes the 5th member of the Bloodline. And is Paul Heyman get a new phone?
Oh yeah, is Paul Heyman going to get a new phone? That's the real question. Yeah, I was going to say the Jags were 8-3 last year, and then we fell apart. What am I? 7-4, 7-3? I don't know, but
so you're like 6-2 or some shit like that.
I got to keep my foot on your neck.
6-1-1.
Oh, 6-1-1. I got to keep my foot on your neck, nigga. Like I ain't sleeping on you. I ain't sleeping on you.
Hey, WrestleMania season is upon us.
All right.
Magic
All right,
happens.
people.
All right.
Take care out there, people.
Peace. Hey. Would you look at that?